Чтоб знал оно, кому кланяться. Эх, яблочко, там на тарелочке, кому водку пить, кому девочки. Эх, девочка, да губки спелые, приходи на сеновал, коль светлая. Эх, яблочко, зимой спелое, вот барышня идет, кожа белая, кожа белая, да шуба ценная. Если даже ничего, будешь целая. Эх, яблочко, да пин спелое, эх, где черный порос надо белое. Эх, яблочко, да скорей кокнула, как и сам кричи, пузо лопнула.
Hello, everybody. This is Joshua, the owner of the Kiwi farm, and this is a very special stream, chat. My once in a year spooky dead person stream. So I don't usually do a soft intro to these. I figure we should just get into it. In case you're wondering, that's Yablochka, but that is the Black Army version, the Ukrainian Black Army version of Yablochka, which is a Russian war song that has a very long history. Surely that's not foreshadowing. So just as a quick rundown, in case you've never seen these before, I go chronological. There's no fancy narrative plot to this. I go from what I know about them as early as possible to the last thing notable about them. And of course I have my notebook and my slideshow. Let's just get into it. Coach Red Pill was born in Burbank, California, to two Chilean immigrants in, I believe it was 1968. He is old. He was 50 plus when he died. Burbank is, I believe, the smack dab between San Francisco and Los Angeles. But he actually went back to Chile to study at a bilingual private school. So I believe he's from a rich upbringing. He moved to the United States, or his family did, from South America before he was born. He was born in the United States. Traveled back to Chile to receive a premium education at a economic rate, basically. And then from his graduation, he was a English teacher, which is not what I expected when I looked into him. He was basically just one of those guys that, like, a traditional expat job. He traveled around Latin America and taught English privately and I believe in schools. However, he had bigger dreams. He wanted to be an author, and eventually he wanted to be famous in Los Angeles. So what he did is he went back to school at Dartmouth, and he published a book that I'm going to struggle to pronounce. It's called Toma Arazura, which is on your screen, and that says the Chilean archetype. He actually was successful in Chile, and that's kind of the recurring theme in his legitimate works that is kind of depressing about him, because he had like a genuine love affair with his what I'm going to call his home country. The Chile really appreciated that this Chilean American still had so much obvious respect for his country, and he continued to write in Spanish and represent Chilean Americans and Chileans in the United States. And they liked him, and they liked his books, and they liked his other works. But he, of course, had bigger sights than being popular in Chile. So he wrote this book when he was 22, but he published it in 1997 when he was in his later 20s. And his success of this book led to him writing a spy novel called Counterparts, and it was published in New York by G.P. Putnam and Sons. And then they actually gave him an advance of $1 million in 1990 money to publish a second book, which he did, and that was called Acrobat. And Acrobat did well enough that Miramax bought the rights to the fucking book. So this is Counterparts. It's like a CIA crime novel, and this was the sequel to it, Acrobat. Big, bold letters, Gonzalo, Gonzalo Lira, just front and center. You can't miss it. Our boy Coach did write this book. And again, it was so successful that I don't even think you need to translate this. This is from a Chilean newspaper, again paying respects to him, saying, El hombre del millón de dólares. The $1 million man. The Chilean newspapers wrote about Coach and called him the $1 million man because Harvey Weinstein's Miramax bought the rights to Acrobat. So he not only got $1 million advance from Putnam to write these two books, I assume he got royalties from them, and also Harvey Weinstein bought the fucking rights to publish a movie to him. And the supposed director, I think, is listed in this article. I did not write this down. Sidney Pollack and Anthony Minghella, names I actually recognize. So it was actually looking like he had a chance of accomplishing what he had set out to do. He was going to become a screenwriter, possibly even a director, and he actually traveled because he had made this money, and he was el hombre del millón de dólares. He traveled back to Chile and actually wrote and shot, or not shot, but directed, Sequestro, which means kidnapping in Chile. And basically the plot is that this Chilean millionaire daughter is kidnapped, which is the exact same plot of another thing that I'll mention way down the road. And this did well. In this archive, the first film of a Chilean cinematographer, Sequestro, landed second place in the box office. So his homemade, or not homemade, but home country film, Sequestro, did well enough in Chile that he was actually second place when his movie debuted in the Chilean cinemas. So they actually liked his movie, and they liked his books. So it seems like he had a place to stay in his home country, in Santiago, but he decided not to do that. And by the way, I had never seen this picture before. This is Coach on the set of Sequestro. I believe that this was shot by one of his producers who relinquished the rights to this photo into the public domain when later events happened that made him a little bit more famous than a Chilean filmographer. But I like this picture of him a lot. It's like, this is Coach in his prime. It literally doesn't get any better than this. Sequestro was a 2005 film. And after that, I scoured the internet to try and figure out what happened next. And I would like to show you the results of my findings. This is literally hours of work. 2005, Sequestro is screened in Chile. And in 2010, Gonzalo Lira publishes an Econo blog on the internet on Blogspot. Between these 2 points, I have no fucking idea what he is doing. It's a complete mystery to me what he's actually up to. So, here's my thoughts. Here's my speculation. Gonzalo is at his peak at this point. He has just debuted a film in Chile, which came in second place at the box office when it was released. He had also had 2 successful books published by Putnam and Sons in New York City, and the rights were bought by Miramax in LA for creating a movie which never came about. Which is, I think it's a fairly common thing that they buy the rights to stuff and then it just never materializes. I think that's pretty common. But I think during this period, he was really trying to make it big in LA still. And he might have had some personal problems, which he alludes to in his videos. My speculation, which is baseless, but I'm kind of just filling in the gap between point A and point B here, is that he really tried to make it big either in publishing or in screenwriting, and it just didn't happen. And he might have had a sex pest incident. I will explain. This is his blog. This is just Gonza. When you see his name written as a URL, it's like the hardest fucking thing to pronounce in the entire world. Gonzalo Lira at Blogspot. This blog is now completely fucking eradicated. And you have a list of all his articles. Almost all of them are bizarrely centered around economy. Now, economy is like completely outside of his realm. He did like spy thrillers, and he did books about coming of age. He wrote a movie about like an action schlock thing with a thriller, and it's like none of that is economy. But for some reason, after he had made his money, he fancied himself an economist. And I think he may have even had in when he graduated in Chile, he might have had a background in finance because of a story that I'll play later. But it was definitely not something that he had focused on in several years. So he kind of pandered to the zero hedge, the sky is falling, hyperinflation coming yesterday type crowd. And he also shilled, and you can't see it here, it only shows up in some of the archives. Oh, is that it? Oh, yeah. Are you prepared? And then there's a black swan. Ooh, spooky. What kind of black swan events coming up? Only Gonzalo Lira Strategic Planning Group can prepare you for this. And he was trying to launch at this time in early 2013, and a little bit before then, 2012, he was trying to launch his own strategic planning, like estate management group. That went absolutely nowhere. Outside of this single page website linked to from his blog that was mostly econo stuff, I can find nothing about his strategic planning group. So this kind of fizzled. I think he launched the site. He's like, yeah, he tried to convince some people to give him money. Like whatever happened in Hollywood led to him like trying to just shake down people like, hey, let me manage your IRA for you. And they're like, no, go away. So then he went to Zero Hedge, tried to publish some economic blogs, and it didn't work out. He did manage to get, I think in part because of his background in writing, he managed to get some of what he wrote published in Business Insider, but they actually have since yanked all of his articles. He wrote this about Paul Krugman, saying, it's not the differences in policy prescriptions that I object to, it's Krugman's cavalier belief that a total full-on war, with its attendant fiscal spending, is what saved the American economy during the Great Depression. It's Krugman's disturbing... I mean, it is, by the way. Like, literally, it was total war. I don't want to spur too much, but I have my personal theory is that we've actually never left total war. Our entire economy is dependent on being a military superpower. Anyways, whatever. I don't think that's controversial. He says it's Krugman's disturbing nihilistic inference, which he makes over and over, tucked away in his articles, but always there like a nasty aftertaste of a drink laced with a roofie. So maybe a total war might not be such a bad idea now as to get us out of this new global depression. That is what I object to in Paul Krugman. He seems to be offering up another war as the only way to fix the economy. The thing is that that's not what Krugman said, and he ate a lot of shit for this, and that's why Business Insider never took another article from him. And they later pulled down all the articles that he had published. So his idea of being the next mortgage guy predicting the next black swan event never materialized, and he kind of had nothing to do for years. I mean, at this point, if you count 2005 onwards, at 2013, he's approaching a decade of not progressing in life. And when you're 30 plus, I think even at that time, he'd be like, what, 40? Like, you're burning your 30s into your 40s. You don't have any kids. Your filmmaking career is not going anywhere. You're not publishing any books, and the articles that you're writing about economy are causing issues for your publications, and they're not going anywhere. That's scary. So he tried to find a new audience not involved in finance, and he hopped over again to trying to give advice. So this is his Reddit account for the Coach Red Pill moniker, which is the name that everybody knows and loves him as. He tried giving advice to women. He tried giving some political thoughts about Kathy Griffin's performance art, which is this is actually in 2017. So he was doing this a while before he started going into Reddit. But this is an example of the kind of advice he got that was received well. This is in our Red Pill, which is now a quarantine subreddit. But he says, do you suffer from depression, social anxiety? Are mental health issues keeping you back from your full potential? Then keep those problems to yourself unless you want people to think that you're a beta, cuck, loser, herb bottom. I don't even know what the fucking herb bottom is, but you don't want to be one of those, according to Coach Red Pill. And then other elderly people agree. Heed these words, older guy here. I have anxiety and depression stemming from my childhood. I will never tell anyone. Nobody cares. This is true. See, the thing about Coach Red Pill is that so in the weeks I've been planning this, I have listened to the entire library, the entire catalog of every Coach Red Pill video I could find that weren't like his live streams that I'll get into in a bit. Coach Red Pill, his videos are very bad. Actually, you know what? I can explain this after I play a Coach Red Pill video because I have that one lined up. This is his quintessential video, the most famous video that he's ever made until certain events happen in this timeline. And I think I'll just play it for you. It became a Patreon exclusive, but this was actually published to YouTube and got him in trouble. And that's how he kickstarted his Patreon. He said, oh, the videos that I can't post on YouTube because of the feminazis, you can get on Patreon. So that helped boost his numbers up.
Women are like dogs. They are exactly like dogs. And never forget that. I love women. I think that they're terrific. Men bore me. I think that men are just stupid. Okay? Probably because, whenever I'm talking to most men, I know what they're thinking or what they're going to say, 3 steps before they say it, So it's just no fun to be talking to a guy. But a woman, Jesus Christ, I mean, she's just a complete surprise.
Listening to this now, something about that statement is really resonating with me because I clipped something right towards the stream starting. I thought that's a weird thing to say, and now I'm gonna circle back to it eventually.
And I'm not talking about sexually attractive women between the ages of 20 and 27. I'm talking any woman, a 3-year-old girl, some hot young thing, some older middle-aged woman, some elderly lady. They are all fascinating to me because they're all so surprising. The way that they think, their priorities. Guys, they're simple. Women, it's not that they're a mystery, it's that they're a constant surprise, as far as I'm concerned, right?
So as you notice, he rambles a lot. His issue is that the way that Coach Red Pill delivers videos is that he has no script, he rambles off the cuff, and he almost always talks about a personal anecdote which has almost no relevance to the actual video. This one is actually one of his more concise videos, I think in part because it does have a personal anecdote that I want to jump to. It's only 7 minutes. By the way, I think that this video is recorded around 2013, maybe 2014, 2015. And I think that this is his office, and it's permanently his office in Kharkiv in Ukraine. Why he's in Ukraine, I'll explain in just a second. But I do want to skip to, I think, around this point right here.
How do you get that confidence with the dog? Experience. You go out and you meet different dogs. You meet different dogs, and at first you're going to be afraid, and at first the dog is going to bite you, right? But eventually, with enough experience, with enough mileage, you get confident. You meet a new dog, no problem. See, there was this wild dog out where I used to live for a while, right? I lived out in the country for a while, late last year, and this wild dog was running around and just being a nuisance. But he was a big dog. So people were scared that it was going to bite somebody, and it was a fast dog, and anyway, the point is, I wound up going up to that dog, and I have some experience with dogs, and I just yelled at the dog and said, stop barking. It stopped barking. It didn't know that I wanted it to stop barking. It just sensed that I was the guy in charge. See, the dog chilled out. Soon enough, we became fast friends. Soon after that, started hanging out at the house, and it de facto became the guard dog, right? Why is this? Why did this happen? And by the way, this is the trigger for this post. Because I realized, I had enough experience with dogs to get the dog to chill out. And the same with women. When I was young, I was terrified of women. I shat bricks whenever I'd see a woman. When a pretty girl would look at me, I was terrified, tongue-tied, or worse, I'd say just a lot of stupid shit. And she'd look at me like, oh God, get away from me, you. That's what she used to say. But I got enough mileage in my system. And also I discovered that if you're funny, girls like you. See?
You have experienced a Coach Red Pill video. Bombastic premise, title, clickbait, an introduction, rambling, incoherent, a personal anecdote that seems to be completely made up and also has very little relevance to the actual story, and then more rambling. That's every video. I have now listened to dozens of hours of this. I don't know. I just got a little bit more. I just got to listen a little bit more Coach Red Pill before the stream ends, and then it's over finally, and I never have to hear from him again. So this is a pretty clever tactic. I'll say it like that. Pretty clever. You have that format, and this is the right time too, because this is around 2013. You have to remember what's happening during 2013. Gamergate, You got the feminazis, you got the culture war, you got the start of red pill stuff. So it's the appropriate time to get in there and trigger all those feminazis and get all the clickbaits and shit circulating around on YouTube and get people donating to your Patreon. Exactly the right time to bust in. So he did quite well for himself. However, much like everything else that Coach Red Pill does, he did not have an original idea when starting this. He was heavily inspired by a guy called Roosh V. You may recognize this guy or this name because he led a very popular website called Return of the Kings, and then also the Roosh V forums, which was kind of like an incel-ish. It's hard, not necessarily incel, because incel came after. This was the origin of the manosphere. This was kind of the emergence of internet pickup artistry, of red pill philosophy when it came to women. How there's a game to be played with women, that the liberalization of the sexual marketplace is an inherently bad thing. Women should be caregivers and nothing else. That's right around this. And Roosh was the guy. The guy. Well, like, this guy knew how to troll people to get people talking about his sites and driving legitimate traffic to his site, and he made a fuck ton of money. You may also notice that he's an author. There's a book down here called Bang Poland, How to Pick Up Women in Poland. Bang Colombia, How to Pick Up Women in Colombia. And Bang Ukraine, How to Pick Up Women in Ukraine. Circa 2012. And then so happens that Expat229, a.k.a. Coach Red Pill, joins the Roosh V forum in November 2013 and posts a couple interesting things. This is the most interesting. In my experience, demanding that a woman give you anal sex or any other sex that is distinctly and deliberately painful is kryptonite to women. Yeah. Once they take it painfully, they surrender completely. The old John Mellencamp tune is completely on the money. It hurts so good. Yeah. So it seems like he literally took this guy's advice and moved from the United States to Ukraine. Then he begins his red pill enterprise of his own, because imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And since I have listened to his entire catalog, pretty much, I have picked out choice Coach Red Pill videos that we can watch together. This is probably in total, I would say maybe... Let's see. I'll probably play about 20 minutes of stuff from Coach Red Pill just in this, or until I get bored. This first one is an example. The ones I pick, by the way, are not necessarily indicative of his usual content. The women are dogs thing is a little bit closer, but it's usually his like philosophizing, because he has a degree in philosophy. That's what he got from Dartmouth. It was philosophy and history. So he kind of waxes philosophical about a couple different topics. Ties in an antidote that always sounds made up. But there were a couple parts where he had actual advice, such as this. Go to Africa.
Because I think that Doug Casey is right. Okay, there are a lot of things going on in Africa today that people should pay attention to. And a lot of things that Africa inherently has that are incredible, and that any young man of ambition and drive, well, he can make a place for himself and he can make his fortune in Africa. And frankly, you know, and I'm not kidding, if I had to do it over, I think I would go to Africa. When I finished college, I went to Hollywood and tried to make it there, and I did all right. But if I had to do it over again, if I'd not been interested in writing, say, and I'd finished college, right, and didn't know where to go or what to do, yeah, I'd go to Africa, definitely. And let me explain why. First of all, understand that Africa is the richest continent in the world in terms of natural...
It then explains that Africa has a lot of shit that's not developed, and if you have the gumption to go out and develop it, you might make a fuck ton of money. The issue with that is that Coach Red Pill's audience is mostly incels, people who are so socially inept they can't get their dick wet, and he's telling them to go to a foreign country where people get fucking murdered just for being white, so they can navigate the complex corruption architecture that's built up in every single African government so that they can exploit the natural resources themselves. That is his point. And this is sad, because this is one of the only times he actually gives real advice to people, and his advice is fucking insane. It's just like, I don't know how you could, like, of all places, like telling someone to go to like Ukraine, and, like, especially before the war, obviously, it's questionable advice. But there's at least you can kind of, like, Ukraine is not a bad place. There's obvious issues in Ukraine before the war, of course. But it's not like you go there and you die. You can go to Africa and you can fucking die. So that's one thing. This, however, is more in line with his usual format. This video is actually just called Advice to Incels, but we'll see that we have no advice for incels in this video. This is 8 minutes long, and I'm going to play it because it's funny to me.
It's pissing me off too because so many people, look down and shit on incelibates, on involuntary celibates, and they shit on them, and it just seems wrong. It seems like rich people shitting on the poor. You think that's pretty asshole-ish, right? If somebody were to, like, oh, I'm rich, I'm a millionaire, and so, oh, you're not a millionaire, so you shit on you. That's exactly the attitude that so many people seem to take to involuntary celibates. Instead of trying to help them, they shit on them. And I personally just think that that's wrong.
I'll show it. In Education for Incels Part 1. Okay, so before I get into this, let me explain. I've said this several times over my podcast, but I'll reiterate it here because it is most applicable. You cannot give advice to incels. The moment that somebody has accepted the terminology incel as a self-descriptor, they have confined themselves to loneliness and they embrace that concept. They reject advice. They do not want advice. Any advice that you give them is wasted because they are content with their misery and is a part of their personality and a badge of honor that they wear. If you are a man giving advice, unsolicited advice, especially to an incel, you're wasting your time. If you are a woman trying to give advice to an incel, just be aware that he's actually trying to fuck you and he's trying to get pity sex. So that's what's happening. They wear it. And if you try to tell them things, they reject it outright because they want to be unhappy. Because, and this is the important bit, incels want to be unhappy because if they accept that they are in control over their own destiny, it means that all the time that they have wasted being unhappy is their own fault. So if you're a 29-year-old man and you don't do anything and you've never kissed a girl and you're miserable, it is a very painful realization to acknowledge that you at 29 can turn your life around, but you will never get back the years you've wasted. So that is why incels are perpetually miserable and why there is no way you can penetrate them and give them what they need to know to succeed, because they don't want it. That said, here's what Coach Red Pill's advice is.
One of the problems of incels, it seems to me, as an outside observer, is that involuntary celibates have this bizarre fantasy that one woman can satisfy all of their needs. That there is this one woman who will be their everything.
He's kind of right. Incels do believe that, what they really believe is that there is potentially a woman that will swoop in like a fucking guardian angel and just fix their life for them and then give them sex and then also take care of their kids and also allow them to be a man-child without any responsibility. And that's a fantasy. The problem is that Coach has misinterpreted this and is retarded and will give them bad advice.
I'm here to tell you, there is no such person, not for any man. There is no one woman who can be your everything. Okay? Let me give you my personal experience. I'm going to talk about things that actually happened to me. And,
There's no advice in this. Some guys complain, so there's no advice or there's advice. There's no fucking advice in this. And if you were to try to extrapolate this story into advice, you would be insane.
Just to not get into trouble today, I'm going to talk about things that happened to me, 20 years ago. Okay? Okay, in 1998, I was living in New York City. I had a place in Lower
Bump
Manhattan.
this up to 125. just so
Nice
you know.
loft. And I was dating a girl called S. She was some kind of woman. She was tall, like I like them. She worked in like sort of like a corporate environment, 5'9", 5'10", something like that.
cuts
An
really help
up-and-comer,
make this feel insane.
And she had a body that had been like made by hand. She was what, at the time, she must have been, I mean, it was just like, oof, 28, 29, something like that. And she had a place in the Upper East Side, and I forget, 27. So she worked like the financial legal area. An incredible body, and she was very successful. Now, she was my official girlfriend, right? And, you know, I would go with her to parties, and she was the girlfriend, and I was the boyfriend, you know, I was the successful novelist boyfriend, right? And she was this successful go-getting girl. And so I'd go with her to dinner parties that she'd have with her bosses and stuff, and you know, these like social events, okay? And at the same time, it pains me to admit it, but even though S was just very, very hot, I was also seeing a girl called, let's call her L. One of the best fucks I've ever had in my life. Now, L was not my type at all. She was this petite little redhead and just this tight little body. 5'1", 5'2", I mean, really just short. She wasn't trashy per se, but she was kind of white trash. I mean, she was just, oh, unbelievable. You know, having sex with S was all right, you know, a little bit of a chore sometimes. With L, it was just incredible. It was just fantastic sex. Best sex of my life, no question. The sex with S was sort of like a chore, and it was not a very pleasant chore, to tell you the truth.
This editing
and
is
I
not
suspect
mine,
that
it's
had it
his.
not been for L, I would have broken up with S a lot sooner. But L was just, you know, she just gobbled me up, right? Oh man, I shouldn't have used that terminology. But anyway, there was S, who was my official girlfriend, and L, who was my side piece. And at the same time, there was S, but actually, I'll have to change her name. The third woman, her name was F. Let's call her F, okay, just to keep them straight, because I just suddenly realized that they had the same first initial, but F. This third girl I was seeing, she was the girl I talked to. I talked to her about books, about current events. She was the girl I would talk about things that were going on in the news, because S, my official girlfriend, just wasn't interested in that, or she was interested in like gossip insofar as her business was concerned, but she had a fairly curtailed set of interests. I mean, she was a great girlfriend, but she wasn't intellectually stimulating, to tell you the truth, and that's why I had F. F stimulated me intellectually. I mean, I could talk to her about anything. About my favorite band, Rush, of course. I could talk to her about movies, and we'd have like long discussions about movies, about books, about culture. We'd go together to the museum. You know, I love going to museums, right? And S, the official girlfriend, hated going to museums. And quite frankly, L was just not, I do not think that she was culturally equipped to go to a museum, to be quite honest. But F, you know, yeah, I'd go to museums with her and I'd have a great time with her. Never slept with her, even though she wanted to have something with me.
I feel like we need an inception horde at this point.
And she was just sort of like, you know, she was my beta orbiter, okay? You know, because people always talk about a beta orbiter being a guy, you know, going around a girl, right? But there are also girls who go around guys and who, you know, pine after the guy for ages, right? The fact of the matter is, I didn't even realize that F wanted something with me until years later, you know, but that's another story. And then finally, there was a fourth woman in my life at the time called A. And A was the girl I told all of my hopes and dreams to. Now A, she was married to somebody else, and I had no sexual interest in her whatsoever, and she didn't have any sexual interest in me either. We were each other's literal best friends. We would talk about like emotional shit, right? With A, I would tell her like my deepest, darkest insecurities. I mean, really, stuff that you'd share with your priest or your shrink, right? And I considered A my big sister, because she was a little bit older than me, and she was married. She had a couple of kids, and we were just simpatico, right? And she would tell me deep, dark secrets about her marriage and her emotional life, her personal life, all kinds of stuff. And she would talk to me about things regarding, you know, her husband and other men in her life, and she wanted my opinions in order to understand it. I was her gay best friend.
Coach Red Pill, everybody. All of his videos, all of them. So you may have noticed there's no fucking advice in there. What he's trying to get at is that there's no one woman that's going to satisfy every one of your needs. What he bizarrely confesses to is that he doesn't, and this is what I was talking about with the Women Are Dogs video. He bizarrely confesses something that I didn't realize until I put this stream together. Coach Red Pill has no male friends. He is completely surrounded by women, and apparently, if you even fucking believe this, is engaged in 24/7 gay best friend ops, trying to pit women against each other, trying to cheat, trying to talk. Like, there is never a moment in this man's life where he's not talking to a woman on the phone or some shit. Like, what the fuck? So, yeah, he's the gay best friend, apparently, but usually what a guy has is girl and then guy. Guy friends. A bunch of guy friends. In my life, I have guy friends that have different expertises and different interests and who I can confide in on specific topics. And I keep everything very nicely compartmentalized, and it works great. That system works fucking great. Coach Red Pill seems to not have any male friends and instead just has different women that somehow combine to form like a perfect GF Voltron for him. It's truly a fascinating insight into the Coach Red Pill mind. One of the things that was interesting about his past prior to this, by the way, was his obsession with getting shit on his dick, and he decided that he's actually going to canonize getting shit on his dick as an advice video.
I have to admit that it's kind of embarrassing to be doing this video, but you know, what the fuck. See, this topic it's not easy to get into, or maybe I'm just squeamish, who knows, what the fuck. But it's actually kind of important. It's actually kind of very important insofar as the whole man-woman thing is concerned, insofar as the sexual relationship that you will have with a woman is concerned. Because anal sex is, frankly, it's women's kryptonite. It is a big deal. It is a lot bigger deal, especially in long-term relationships. And let me explain. Okay, so you have to understand, you know, I'm talking about a normal girl, and not some porn star who's had anal sex, you know, morning, noon, and night for the past 10 years, right? I'm talking about most normal girls, most normal girls who have had a normal sexual experience. For them, anal sex has been a rarity. And it very well might be that the first time you try to have anal sex with her is the first time she's ever had anal sex, okay? It is going to be a big deal because it goes into a woman's nature, and it's really complicated. Let me explain. See, just regular sex. A woman's body is built for regular sex, right? It's the way that human beings reproduce, right? If it weren't pleasant for most women, you know, there wouldn't be any human beings. You know, nobody would have reproduced, right? But anal sex is not necessary for reproduction. And in point of fact, anal sex for women can be extraordinarily painful. Even in the best of circumstances, it can be very painful, okay? So women are kind of like ambivalent about it because on the one hand, they recognize that it's going to be painful. On the other hand, and here is where the thing about women's psychology kicks in. See, a man who fucks a woman anally is dominating her and owning her in a way that she wants to be owned. Okay? I mean, that's the key issue. You ask 9 guys out of 10, assuming that they're not gay, of course, 9 guys out of 10 are like, I don't want to get fucked up the ass. No way! That's what they're going to say, right? Of course, because it's going to be painful. And, you know, what the fuck? What's the attraction there, right? But for women, there is an issue where the man fucking them in the ass is dominating them in a way that they crave. They want this to happen. Believe it or not. It's hard for most men to grasp this truism about women, but they crave anal sex. They want it, even though they're very leery of it. And you know, if you just ask them, they're going to say no. Okay, for the most part, they might be curious if you just, like, you know, gently come around to.
I'm kind of imagining Coach is like a vampire. He's giving like vampire titch, and like it's like the normals, they want their blood sucked. You ask a normal if they want the blood sucked, they'll say no, I do not want to have my blood sucked, but they do want their blood sucked. Yeah. He spent too much time up in the mountains. So obviously a man as red as fucking blood. Let's say that. Vampire blood. That's how red this guy is. With red pills like that, surely he would never simp. right? Well, as we've established, Coach Red Pill is a friend of many. Well, he desires to be the friend of many people, but he's especially friendly towards the women. This is a video about the deregulation of the sexual marketplace. And a familiar face, Aiden Paladin, says, I would say this. I have no standard. Sorry, this is a very mean post to read aloud, but it's very funny. I have no standards when it comes to men, not physical, nor mental, nor occupational, etc. Yet despite this, and despite the fact I've asked every guy I have ever dated to marry me, I am still alone. This is not all women's fault, is my input. We've certainly made a mess of shit, but modern men, for good reason, won't settle down even with a perfect girl because they'd rather play video games, to be quite honest. Coach Red Pill responds, well, first off, since I know you personally, I can say categorically and without hesitation that any man who wouldn't want to marry you is a complete and utter moron. And then he goes on to say, as to your point, it's that society encourages this. It's easier for the political class and more profitable for the corporations to encourage males to be perpetual children rather than to grow up and be men. That's kind of true. There's always, sometimes he says stuff, it's like, yeah, you know what, I can kind of see the point in that. Which is why he's successful. If he didn't mix kind of good points with the random shit that he says, you wouldn't have an audience. But I found this post funny, and I figured I would highlight it, because I have a feeling that Coach Red Pill would be embarrassed about this if he was still alive. Okay, so if he strikes that balance about knowing what men need to know and knowing what women want to hear. So truly, with such life experience, with such personal hands-on experience living in Ukraine and being so good with the ladies, the women won't laugh at him, right? This was a pain in the ass to find. I don't even know how the fuck this was found to begin with. This is a video by a matchmaking service called Dioli, and it's called Why Western Men Should Move to Ukraine ? Video review. These two Ukrainian women who do matchmaking as a professional service found a video that was suggested to them by a certain expat living in Ukraine who has some advice to other expats looking for a wife. Let's take a watch.
There's this guy I met at the New York meetup back in January, a guy called Peter. Great guy, an airline pilot. And because he's an airline pilot, he was able to fly out here to Kharkov in Ukraine, and we hung out. Yeah, terrific guy. Just
so this video was made 5 years ago. This was 2019.
The Earth, we hit it off. We had a great time. Anyway, the point is, see, he came out here, and he was here just for a few days.
And you know how fucking bored they are listening to this story already. Just
he met a ton of girls. Yeah. I mean, he was making the effort, of course. He went out there, he put himself out there, you know, and a couple of times I was his wingman, you know, and talking up different girls and what have you. And yeah, he's a fairly good-looking guy. Well, kind of good-looking, I guess. I'm teasing Peter. But he was an all-right-looking guy, you know, he had a little bit of game, you know, and he met some nice girls. Yeah. He got some addresses, he got some numbers, he got second dates, you know, and he was here just for a few days, right? And it got me thinking, yeah.
That smile, I was like, this fucking idiot.
More guys in the West should come out here to the Ukraine. Yeah.
Alessia, my question to you. Do you think it would be easy for an English-speaking, let's say, American guy to just travel to Ukraine and meet ladies in the streets?
This is not so easy as it can be, as it seems to be, because I interview a lot of ladies, and I know that ladies who even open to date a foreigner, they won't acquaint with them on the streets.
They are afraid that it's like he's a sex tourist,
yes.
It's not serious. So after I have watched it for the first time, I was thinking, if the guy is like 21 or 22, and he really goes out in the company of Ukrainian friends.
I don't think that he's 21 or 22 because he's a pilot. Yes.
Oh, she's talking about the friend.
And it's not as easy as you just walk around the city and, hey, this is me.
It's not even easy for Ukrainian guys because we do some local matchmaking and they tell that it is quite difficult to get acquainted right in the street. Like 10 years ago it was easier. But I can assume that they went out to some clubs, and Ukrainian men, they know that girls in clubs, they are not girlfriend material. So yes, you can meet someone to have drinks and to have fun, but this won't be the ladies whom you will introduce to your mom, trust me. So,
Okay, so in case you're wondering, Slavic people are very hard people. Their countries, all of them, are ravaged by alcoholism. It is like the #1 preventable cause of death in all Slavic countries, second only to like Russian soldiers. So it's a big deal. Lots of men there are complete fucking assholes. A lot of women there have complete fucking assholes for fathers, and they are all inherently distrustful of foreign men because they all assume that they're there for the reason that they're there. Okay, so coach just saying, yeah, move to Ukraine. That's nonsense. Nonsense. It takes months. Just for normal people, it takes months as a foreigner in Ukraine before the fucking bag lady and bag boy at the local corner store is like friendly with you. It's a country where if they see you and you're not local, they think that you're up to something. And like 99% of the time, they're right to think that. You're either government or you're an asshole, okay? So here's my counter advice. Do not go to any country to live unless you know somebody there, unless it's for work, unless you have a friend, unless you have some kind of like club that you're going to. Do not move to a foreign country that you know nothing about, that you don't speak the language of, and you don't even know anybody there. You will be in for a bad time. The worst experience that I had was when I went to Australia. For various reasons, my roommate had to go to China for 3 months out of the 6 months that I was there. And those 3 months that I spent in Australia completely alone were some of the loneliest times of my entire life. Compared to the Philippines, compared to Serbia and Ukraine, 3 months in a very familiar country that I speak the language of, it was just weird enough where it was super alienating to be in Australia, even just because I was by myself. So don't ever go anywhere to a foreign country unless you know something. You need like a anchor in that country to keep you from going insane. So I don't know. I remember when this happened. I thought this 2 Ukrainian women making fun of Coach Red Pill's advice is very funny, and I'll leave it at that. Now, so this is a video called "How to Pick a Wife," and in true Coach Red Pill fashion, he does not actually give you a straight shot. He has an anecdote. I feel like this is the most important clip that I pulled out of anything. So ears open, pay attention. This is the quintessential component to the Coach Red Pill experience.
In my last year in college, I was dating a woman named B. That's not her name, or initial of her name. Now, B was an incredible woman. I mean, really, she really was. She was a woman, she would go on to get a PhD from one of the top 3 universities on the planet. Not only was she brilliant, she was charming, in a kind of like an understated kind of way. Charming and very witty, and very quiet, you know. In terms of her looks, she was, I would say, like a 7 on a 10 scale, maybe a 7.5. I mean, she wasn't that gorgeous when you looked at her picture, but when you met her in person, she was magnetic. She exuded this aura of sensuality that was very, very provocative. And she and I matched up incredibly well insofar as our tastes were concerned, insofar as what we liked. We liked the same books, the same movies, the same music. We liked doing the same things on a weekend. We got to the point where we could finish each other's sentences because we saw the world in such a similar way. We were perfect for one another, and we broke up. We were totally compatible, and yet we broke up. There was one tiny little problem. We wanted different things out of life. She wanted a corporate career, and she saw her life very clearly as getting a PhD and then working at a university and climbing the academic ladder until she got to full tenure. That's what she wanted to do. And me, I wanted to go to Hollywood and try my luck there and just, you know, see what was out there. I didn't have any fixed idea as to where I was going. I just wanted to, you know, go out there and, you know, live life, you know, almost at random. And she couldn't understand that. She obliged me. to go to the investment bank recruiting seminar, meeting, whatever it was. I forget what it was called. But anyway, it was basically a chance for, college seniors to meet with recruiters from this big-time investment bank. I got called to a second meeting, and after that second meeting, they wanted an interview, right? And I blew it off, and she freaked out. B just had a fit that I'd blown off that meeting. She couldn't understand it. She said, "Why are you doing that? You can be a millionaire by the time you're 30. You just have to go there, meet with these people, get the job, and you're set. Why did you blow it off?" And I said, "I just don't want to work at a bank. I don't want to work, 100 hours a week, at some bank. I want to go to Hollywood and see what happens." She couldn't understand that. And we broke up, of course.
This man has spent his entire life regretting this decision every day for decades. When he got out of Dartmouth, that was right before he published any of his books. He did manage to go to Hollywood and do a little bit of stuff and get a couple things done, but he never met another B. The woman that I have listened to so much Coach Red Pill. I've heard so many of his fucking anecdotes where he's fucking 8 different women at one time. I have never heard him speak of any woman, including his own mother, including the wife of his children, in the way that he speaks of B. And I am completely 100% convinced that B is a real person and this is a real story. And this is what happened to Coach Red Pill, is that B dodged a bullet and Coach Red Pill caught it. He's never lived it down. And it's caused some issues. It's caused a little bit of friction between him and the 51% of the world that he held some animosity towards. I didn't really know where to put this video in my timeline because it's so important to him. It's so obviously important that this is what made Gonzalo Lira into Coach Red Pill, is that he decided, I'm going to go to Hollywood and I'm going to have fun and see what happens. Well, just like everybody else, Coach found what happens in Hollywood. So, this is one of his early videos. He was quite successful. His Patreon did well. He made a lot of money doing his exclusive content. He got tons of views. He was smart enough. I mean, of all the things to say about Coach Red Pill, he does have some business sense. He's not, retarded. I mean, in some ways he's very retarded. But at least knowing how to toe the line, what things to say and what things not to say, how to get attention but then not get too much attention. He managed to do that quite well for a very long time. And he could have coasted off this in Ukraine and done very well for himself, especially considering how cheap Ukraine is. And why not? He could have been very professional about it. But Coach Red Pill is not a professional. And he's not, I gave him some credit, but he is a bit of a fucking retard. And I think one thing that he held a lot of resentment towards was his own audience. And you can't really blame him, because when this is your audience, I would also resent them.
I never get pussy. I've never gotten any pussy. It's too nice. I'm always so nice to the girls, and they just end up dating these guys, and they're terrible to them. They never give me pussy. I really want a blowjob. I've never had one. It's because I pay for the meal, and afterwards they don't respect me because I'm too nice to them. I always offer to take them places, give them rides, and do chores for them, and open doors, and they never give me any pussy. This one girl, I bought her this coat that she wanted. She said that she liked the coat, and I just thought if I bought it for her, she would finally give me some pussy. You don't even have to touch my penis. I just want to eat the butt. I don't even care. I just want to make girls feel good. I don't understand. I'm so respectful. I say, I'll lick your pussy. You don't have to do anything. I just want to feel it.
Are they closed? Fuck, man.
Our store is closed.
This is a real Coach Red Pill fan, by the way.
Holy shit, it's one of my bagel. Now I'm pissed. Now I'm gonna go get some pussy. Hey, you look pretty good. You look pretty good to me. Now it's time for some pussy. And to be honest, you look pretty good. Here, let me do it. I
some McDonald's.
Fuck you.
I would have interrupted it, but that's literally my favorite Sam Hyde clip. So I just let it play. Okay, so as we established, that's a real Coach Red Pill fan. He was getting many videos like that every single day, demanding help. Just desperate, desperate people. So even though he was the coolest kid on the block in his own cul-de-sac, he was not super cool to the people he actually wanted to impress. Much like how he left B behind to go to LA to impress Harvey Weinstein, Coach Red Pill decided to double dip and try to recruit an audience from a more familiar group of people. And so he entered the sector. I think I have a special timestamp. This is him talking with Godwinson. You don't know who Godwinson is. He used to be PPP's partner in streaming, partner in crime for a very long time. And for whatever reason, Coach Red Pill just loved Godwinson like a child, like a son.
Interest to him. And I've got a lot of videos that I'm never going to release publicly because they're about private information, that would only benefit my kid, okay? I don't know, I've got like about 30 videos, I guess, 40 videos of just like stuff that, is like personal history, that kind of shit that I would never in a million years post, right? But what I'm trying to emphasize is that, see, my project is very specific. I love it that a lot of guys watch my videos and get a kick out of it and stuff like that. And so, great. But the project would endure without the audience. And also, I recognize something.
So he's trying to pass himself off as a knowledge builder and not necessarily someone pandering to an audience, which is why he's talking to Godwinson. Godwinson returned this love in a very weird way. This is an iconic video. There's no way to discuss Coach Red Pill without playing Godwinson making fun of Coach Red Pill. This time with love, with pure love.
Andy Worski is 4 things.
Let me explain. Women are dogs. Yeah! You're not a real man. Yeah! Not a real man. Sargon knew. Let me explain, because, you see, incels need to rise up. Yeah! So I've written this book, yeah, and it's called Wilshire Boulevard, yeah! Pregnant women are damaged goods, yeah! I forced my girlfriend to have an abortion. Yeah! Andy Worski is a liar. Andy Worski is a faggot. Andy Worski is a coward. And Andy Worski is...
Oh no. I even cached this in my computer. I need to know what Andy Worski is.
Coward. And Andy Worski is a piece of shit.
A piece of shit. Iconic. Okay. Coach Red Pill got so integrated into the sector that here is a absolutely iconic photo of him. Ethan Ralph, Andy Worski, Coach, my boy Coach, right there in the front. And who's that charming boy? Is that Nick Rekieta? It show is. It show is. This is way too much history to fit into a single video, but at this point in time, Andy Worski had gotten into a pissing contest with a crippled Native American man who was obsessed with boxing called Tonkasaw. Tonkasaw had just taken a massive blow to his ego and had challenged Andy Worski to a fight. Andy Worski accepted the fight. They arranged a match, and then Tonkasaw no-showed. And at the match, these people met, and utter despair has fallen on all of them, except Andy Worski, who seems to do just fine. This is the other half of this. You'll notice that now Juju the cow, a man who gets fucked in the ass, will dress as a cow, formerly known as Dax Herrera, formerly known as, what's his name, Dick Masterson. And then this guy... I don't think anybody knows who he is, but he's probably dead now. He probably died in a car accident on the way out of this fucking event because nobody survived except Andy Worski. By the way, this photo is iconic for another reason. Here we have our boy Ethan Ralph and Coach Red Pill just chilling out as bros. And let's take a little scroll. And we appear to have an accidental exposure of guntal flesh. And this picture, literally the picture where, by virtue of standing next to him, Ethan Ralph, who's 4'13", decided he would hang his arms up over his pals, his internet friends, the left and right, and prop himself up so that he would be at about equal height, but in doing so, accidentally exposed what lied under his shirt. And this literally ruined Ethan Ralph's career. At this point in time, Ethan Ralph was at his absolute peak, making thousands of dollars every stream. And after this point, the Gunt memes got to him so badly that he became a pill-popping alcoholic and completely imploded. And it's entirely Coach's fault. That's what I'm trying to say. Coach Red Pill did this to him. It is bifurcated. That's true. Sorry. I'm thinking about Ethan Ralph again. It's making me laugh. No, we're talking about this guy over here. Okay, here's some other stuff. Here's him talking to Medicare. And this is clipped for... Oh, you know what? Let's do this. No, this is in chronological order. This clip I clipped. They're mostly just talking about economics. It's not particularly relevant to the discussion. I do just want to show that he's embedded and trying to talk to as many people as possible, trying to build himself into this weird alliance with everybody. But this part in particular made me laugh.
I don't think that independent producers are going to be able to, take advantage of that. Sorry about that. Oh, it's the police.
It's okay.
They've come for me finally. Oh no.
They've tracked you down now.
Yeah, they have. But anyway,
a little bit of foreshadowing. And then this is a mega stream. I remember doing this. This was the first time that I ever spoke to Medicare on air. That's me down there. That's Ethan Ralph. The jet plane is Coach Red Pill. And then there's Medicare. And we spoke for... God, did we really speak for 5 hours? That was a different time, man. It was a different time. Streams went on for 5 to 8 hours. Everybody stuck around. There was always shit to talk about, and thousands of people watched it. It was truly a completely different era. I have this clipped. Oh, we were discussing Ukraine. That's why.
On the war for Ukraine either. So honestly, if Russia just took over the whole place, nothing's gonna happen. I mean, they might get some sanctions or whatever, ostracized, but as far as military action, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, I doubt if the Russians would take over Ukraine, because think of the hassle of having.
No, it would be
they don't want
perpetual.
Yeah.
Like Russian, if you tried to have people in Ukraine trying to govern over them after one giant invasion, like it would just be fucking mass hysteria. People would be getting gunned down in the streets. It wouldn't be pretty. The reason why they could take over Crimea is because a reasonable portion of the community was complacent with it. Yeah.
No. The idea of them invading Ukraine, it's pointless. For them to keep on bumping the edge of the desk all the time and keeping Ukraine unstable, like they're doing in Donetsk region and that kind of thing, that's what they're going to continue to do. And so Ukraine is always going to be, at 6s and 7s, and never really get their shit together insofar as the economy and so forth. But, it's never going to devolve into outright chaos. So I'm not particularly concerned, to tell you the truth. I think it's just the way it's going to be. There's no upside to invading Ukraine, and there's shitloads of downside. And think of the number of people you'd need, administration, all the rest of it, to take over the fucking place. It would just be a fucking nightmare.
Interesting takes. I'm sure that this has no foreboding. And that's the coach of the sector. Now, things did not remain so fine and dandy for so long. Coach in particular was very tribalistic. At this point in time in the internet, nowadays, it's kind of like everybody just does their own thing. There's like a soft kind of like friendship. Nobody... Back in the day, back when the sector was the sector... people would be dragged onto live stream and humiliated on an 8-hour-long stream where they confessed all their sins to Medicare pretty routinely. It happened like once a year. Nowadays, everybody just kind of minds their own fucking business and talks about weird shit not related to them. But at that time, there was a lot of tribalism. You had teams. Somebody would do something to somebody, and then you would take their side, and vice versa. So here is a clip of Coach Red Pill shitting on Sargon, who of course was the punching bag of the week, because I think this was the time that Sargon had told Medicare, he had called Medicare a groomer, because he said that his audience was mostly children and he was grooming them to like pay him or something. Medicare took this very poorly because it sounded like he was calling him a pedophile, and Sargon aligned with Medicare and made this clip to epically own Sargon of Akkad. Now, those of a weak disposition who do not want to see a Ukrainian prostitute, please shield your eyes.
Look at sexy pose. Sexy pose. Turn around. Work it, baby. Work it. Love the camera. Love the camera. Come on. Oh, yeah. The audience loves you, baby. The camera loves you.
So, this was him trying to epically own Sargon, showing how well he lives in Ukraine. At this point in time, he is married. I think he has children. That is not his wife. In fact, I have no footage of his wife whatsoever. These streams were on a weird side channel of his called the Shit Stream. And just to give you a kind of idea of what the Shit Stream was, it started with him posting on Cow, which is an old image board that was kind of like sector aligned. It was kind of about locales, but it was mostly about like internet drama, internet blood sport shit. And Coach Red Pill was extremely tapped into this image board, and he watched it constantly. And at the time, he was kind of the cool kid in the room, so his attention to Cal was not unwelcomed, and he would do, because like he was like a real popular YouTuber in the red pill sphere, right? So the fact he would take out the time to do these weird vignettes of like 60-second long videos of him in ultra stylized, like the black outline stuff that Godwinson was making fun of a couple of videos ago, that was like his quintessential shit stream. He would post these to Cal, and then later started posting them to his own channel called The Shit Stream, which was supposed to be his challenge to the sector, be like his sector channel, and it never took off. It was mostly just him doing weird things. The Andy Worski is 4 things. That was one of the shit streams that he put out, and it never took off because he's kind of insufferable, and people realize that over time. The big catalyst for realizing that Coach Red Pill was insufferable was Wilshire Boulevard. Coach had always put himself up as a millionaire, and this was somewhat verifiable because of the documents that had been shared already, showing that he had made $1.6 billion as a result of his book writing career. But when he published this on his main channel and also to all of his friends. So like he went on a bunch of different streams to advertise Wilshire Boulevard, which was supposed to be like an epic action book. I'm assuming it's kind of like Tom Clancy. I remember my grandfather was obsessed with Tom Clancy novels and other books like that. He just read like a ton of that shit. And I would. This book, by the way, is lost. Spoiler alert. It did get shared around, but he never published it, and everybody who had a copy of this lost it, except potentially Nick Rekieta, who will never release it out of spite at this point. So Wilshire Boulevard is like a lost locale artifact that if ever found needs to be like framed and hung up on my wall in my like personal museum of weird shit that I have. He builds it. He got $10,000 from 155 backers, most of them from his main channel. He was told by mainstream publishers that they would not accept his. Let me just read this actually. Wilshire Boulevard isn't my first book. In the late 90s and early 2000s, I was a commercially successful novelist. I published thrillers on the Putnam, Random House, and St. Martin's. My novels translated into a dozen languages. In fact, my last published novel, Acrobat, was purchased by Miramax for Anthony Minghella and Sidney Pollack to direct and produce. In the early 2000s, I left publishing to pursue other interests. However, my writing addiction never left me, so in 2016, I tried to get back into publishing. I tried to publish Wilshire Boulevard with mainstream publishers and got BTFO'd. They rejected it for being too problematic. One New York editor went so far as to call it hateful and misogynistic. All because in my novel there are a few criticisms of feminism, and some of the female characters act in less than exemplary ways, i.e. no Mary Susan sight. I forgot about this until just now because I am a professional streamer, and I do this and take a great deal of care into it. I asked, PPP was one of the people who got a review copy, and he fucking lost the book too. And I said, what was with the book? And he said, buddy, the book was insane. Coach had a self-insert where he put a gun up a woman's vagina to fuck her, and a furry convention got shot up and Coach had to save them. That no one has released it is insane. Well, he had a copy and he fucking lost it. So women are not treated well in this book, and it might be a little bit too much. I think he's right. Publishers had the good mind to read this and think, what the fuck? And back out. Now, he could have self-published it to Amazon for $2,000. They have like a fee just to make sure that other shit doesn't make it to the storefront. But he decided not to do that and instead crowdfund it despite being a potential millionaire, and published this where he basically admitted that he was a loser in the process. He says, that's it. That's my pitch. I hope you'll join me on this new adventure. Well, it was not well received. PPP made fun of it. And I think that kind of hurt their relationship. And another person made fun of it, and it hurt their relationship.
Well, that, like I said, that's the book, Wilshire Boulevard. It's in the description of the chat. Go check it out. You guys make that decision for yourself. And if you like it, if you like Coach, support his work. That's one thing this channel is about, is supporting independent work from people, because I think it's our duty to break the traditional molds. I mean, the publishing industry.
Coach showed up on this stream, and the chat hates him. Hates Coach Red Pill. The actual chat is shocking. They're all spamming like sleepy emojis and shit. They hate him. And the comments are no better. There's one comment in particular I want to read, but let me explain what happened with Ricada. I can't find the actual stream, but shortly after the stream, Ricada did receive a review copy of Wilshire Boulevard, and he said he did not like it. He had some... Actually, I remember now. He's told me what he said to Coach, and he might have said it in passing on a stream, but he told Coach they didn't like it, and he gave some reasons as to why, and Coach got really offended. And now, kind of looking back at it, it feels like his publishing stuff was the only thing he ever did that was successful. So to be told, 20 years later, literally 25 years later, pretty much, that actually, no, this is kind of shit. He didn't do a good job. It probably hurts the ego a lot, because I'm sure there was that core of him that had stuck around for a long time. Like, well, I might be in hard times now, but I am a published author and I am a good writer. And then you got fucking PPP and Nick Ricada, and what the fuck do they know about writing? But they're saying that it's bad. So it's like, I'm sure that hurt his ego. There's one comment in particular I desperately want to read for you guys, and hopefully I can find it. A lot of people saying like, I hate Coach, but I understand that people didn't like him, but Nick is a true free speech champion by letting him on. But this guy whose name and avatar just seemed familiar to me. I honestly don't know if he's like a listener or if he's like an ex-Ricada fan, but Sponge6197, 5 years ago, 2019, says this. I think Nick has become beloved by a lot of people, which prompted the reaction to Coach Red Pill being on. It's only because they're concerned Coach Red Pill will drag Nick down in some petty drama like he does with everyone he associates with. Coach is a user, a schemer, a liar, and a pseudo-intellectual. Coach is 4 things. This comment, perfect, beautiful. What a little time capsule of so many different sentiments all at once. Thank you, Sponge6197 from 5 years ago. Cool. So then we have, so I think a lot of people at this point only know PPP from Kino Casino. Let me kind of explain that back in the day, PPP and Godwinson, the other guy that did the Coach is 4 things thing, they were like buddies. They were like stuck together. And they adhered to something that Godwinson calls the Kino Dogma 2007, which is based off of a real film ideology of there should be as little special effects as possible. Godwinson's take is that all streaming should be done as shittily as possible using equipment that is no more sophisticated than it was in YouTube 2007. So PPP and Godwinson stuck to this very rigidly. They filmed themselves with their phone, and when they wanted to show something on the screen, instead of using OBS to inlay things like I'm doing on my stream, they literally take their phone and flip the camera and then record the screen. And this was their dogma, and it was that way for a very long time. And that's how PPP got started before he got together with Andy Worski and started Kino Casino, and now does like a real proper show. So this is PPP reacting to Wilshire Boulevard.
It's time. It's time to talk about one of the biggest scam artists that there's ever been. It's time to speak, of course, about Gonzalo Lira, aka Coach Red Pill, and his love of money. His love of being a greedy fucking grifter. Most of you know about Gonzo already. About how he scammed the university professor there out of thousands of dollars. About how he's just a fucking, his whole life, he's just been a flim-flam con man. That's all he's ever fucking been. But I'm going to tell you guys about Coach's perhaps most depraved, most obscene, most fucking shameless grift ever. Which is the Wilshire Boulevard grift. Which was done simply for a love of fucking money there. Gonzo, the scamming grifter. Let's get ready. It's the golden fucking age. Do things, bad things.
It was a different time. It was a much more simple time. Now, my whole point is that Coach wanted to make friends with what he thought of as the cool kids on the internet. Godwinson, Medicare, Ethan Ralph, Andy Worski, Nick Rekieta, an odd group of people. Not necessarily. Now they're all fucking nerds, according to Nick Rekieta. But back in the day, we used to be cool, promise. And they had all descended on Coach. They cast him aside. His snakery, his treachery, his grifting, the king of all sins back in the day, grifting, had led to his downfall in the public perception of the Cool Kids Club. So, I actually don't know what the fuck this is.
There's a guy on YouTube who did a fundraiser for $40,000.
Okay, so this is another Godwinson video done in the shitstream format, and it's just Godwinson being silly, and I like it.
Which he promised to use to self-publish.
This is Kraut, by the way. For whatever reason, Coach Red Pill completely fucking hated Kraut. Kraut still makes videos on YouTube that are like history-oriented, and they get like 8 million views each. By the way, I'll never mention Sargon again for the rest of this stream, but since I'm thinking of it, his whole epic own, I have a Ukrainian prostitute towards Sargon. Sargon now has kids. He's doing just fine. His channel seems to be doing just fine. He seems to be like a normal dad now. Kraut doing okay. Everybody is doing okay except for Ethan Ralph and Nick. Well, I mean, of the people he hates. Kind of a mixed bag, actually. Anyways, whatever.
Even though self-publishing costs only about $2,000. He never published a book, but after raising the $40,000, he uploaded videos of himself with a prostitute to another channel.
Sexy pose. This is more of the prostitute. I've already played this. Here we go. This is the content I actually want to see. This is what I came for.
Kraut is four things. Women are objects. Yeah.
If you don't pay for sex, you're not a real man.
Anal sex is a woman's kryptonite. Yeah. Ethan and Andy are gay. Yeah. This is a message for Kraut's mom. Yeah. Godwinson has no balls. Yeah.
So I've just finished Wilshire Boulevard. Yeah! What a keynote.
I fucked a fat girl one time. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'm not talking like, she was sort of like chubby or a bit of a porker. No. I'm talking about like a fucking whale. I mean, like an orca. I mean, like she was minimum 1.5 times me. Okay? I'm a fairly big guy, right? She was bigger than me. And fucking her, man, it was like It was like swimming in an ocean of flesh. It was Jesus. You know, it was at once horrifying and hypnotic. It was like the weirdest fucking experience. Yeah, it was funny as fuck.
I can't believe this is making me nostalgic for like 2019. I kind of miss my apartment in Odessa now. I'm sure it's like a smoldering fucking ruin, but it was very comfy. It was very cheap. Okay, so now I have to explain. I have to lay bare my sins, chat. So I was also friendly with Coach Red Pill, and like every single fucking person that Coach Red Pill had acquaintance with, I had issues with him. This was him in August, randomly telling me in Discord, responding to a tweet I posted, saying, I've been informed and have verified that DuckDuckGo is officially the first search engine to blacklist the Kiwi farms. Coach Red Pill, correct for once, says won't be the last. And I say, I don't know if this message is just him offering some unsolicited old man input on the situation, or if he's actively threatening to try to index the site because the thread really hurts his feelings, but I don't want to hear from him, so I blocked him on this. CRP then put out a Coach Red Pill official video about me.
You need to know how to work a room. You need to know how to make friends. And you need to know something crucial. You need to know how to accrue favors. Yeah. Recently, there's this guy. Well, I'll say it doesn't really matter. This guy called Josh, right? He runs Kiwi Farms. Now, Kiwi Farms has this thread about me, right? Thread about me where they talk a lot of shit about me. And most of it is untrue. Some of it is actually true. Like, for instance, somehow these, autists found my fucking family tree, right? And they put it up there on this thread. And they also found business disputes that I had where I don't look good because, of course, they put up the version of the guy I had the dispute with. The fact that this guy didn't even sue me or anything of the sort kind of like proves that the business dispute was just a bunch of bullshit, right? But anyway, on Kiwi Farms, there's this thread about me. And Josh runs Kiwi Farms. And I was getting involved with some guys, some money guys. And I needed this thread to not be, the top thing that appeared when my actual name, was Googled, right? So I asked Josh if he could somehow, deprioritize this. I asked him specifically, look, can you please just remove my actual name from the URL, so that way it won't fucking appear on Google as the first fucking thing when you Google my name, right? And what did Josh do? He said, fuck you. As simple as that. He said, fuck you, I'm not gonna do any favor for you, okay? I wasn't offering him anything, by the way, okay? I just asked him as a favor. I was just putting out a chip, right? I was putting out a marker. I was telling him, basically, I'm gonna owe you. I need this, it's important to me. I wouldn't ask it otherwise, huh? And by the way, the page had been up for, I don't know, over 2 years, I think. No, coming up on 2 years, a year and 18 months, okay? So the page had been up there for a while, but circumstances were happening in my own life whereby I needed this page to sort of like, go down. And I knew the guy who ran the site, who owned the site. And I asked him for a favor, and he said, fuck you. A funny thing happened. A very funny thing happened. A month later, exactly 30 days after I asked for this favor, right? Where he had said no, Josh had said fuck you, or words to the effect. He didn't actually say fuck you, but he basically said, no, I could never do that. My principles, blah, blah, blah. He said no to me. And exactly 30 days later, he sends me a message. Very urgent, I talk to you. Please, 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 get in touch with me. I call him up. What's wrong? What's up? The very first thing he says to me is that he says to me, I can get your Kiwi Farm thread deprioritized on Google. I know how to do it, okay? And all I need is for you to help me with my Ukrainian visa. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. See, Josh is living in Ukraine and I live in Ukraine, right? And so I have residency in Ukraine, but he doesn't. He's on a tourist visa. And it's been, a long time since his tourist visa expired. He's here in the country illegally, right? And so, here he is, after I'd asked him to deprioritize my Kiwi Farms page, and he'd said, "Fuck you," and now he's offering this to me in exchange for me helping him with his visa. Yeah, see, in the 30 days between the time I'd asked him to do what he was now offering to do, yeah, in those 30 days, and he'd said no, well, I'd had to eat a shitload of shit, okay? There were some guys I was working with, right? And, you know, some big money guys, right? And so I had to go to them hat in hand and eat shit, eat a lot of shit. Go to them and say, you know, please don't cut me out of this deal. I had to suck up to them really badly. 2 guys, you know, and altogether it was 3 sessions, one of them in person, where I had to suck up to these people.
I just realized something.
And you know, please, please, please. And do you think I fucking liked that? No, I fucking didn't. Fucking hated having to suck up to these guys, but I needed to because it represented a lot of fucking money to me. Huh? And so I sucked up. I didn't like it, but I sucked up to them, and I got in good with these guys, and all good. But now Josh is saying, you know, I can give this to you if you give me the residency in Ukraine. But it was too late. It was way too late. See, I could get him the visa, and it wouldn't be very expensive. And if he had helped me the first time, if he'd helped me, instead of saying fuck you to me, he'd actually helped me, I would have paid for his residency thing. It would have been a couple of grand, but happily, because him deprioritizing me on Kiwi Farms and, you know, just sort of like, you know, erasing me from the Google search, yeah, it represented a shit ton of money for me, yeah. The $2,000 fee to get his residency straightened out, yeah, would have represented less than 1% of the money I'd be getting, yeah. I would have been happy to pay for that fee, because Josh, by the way, is broke as fuck, right? I could have paid that fee, no problem, and I would have, yeah, if he'd done the favor when I asked him to. Josh, in his arrogance, yeah, he goes and says, fuck you to me. Okay, fine. He's got these principles of his, fine. He won't, you know, take my name off the URL of the Kiwi Farms thread, no problem. But then later, he offers to do it because it's his advantage, yeah? Because he's making this offer so that I'll do something for him, right? So what does that tell you? That his principles mean shit, okay? It's just bullshit. It's just, you know, a facade. He doesn't have any fucking principles. And in point of fact, it proves that he'll pretty much do anything to save his own skin, like a fucking rat, yeah? So back in early July, when I asked him for this, he said no because he had his principles. But then in early August, he calls me desperately, and he'll throw his principles overboard for the sake of a visa. And what did I do? I said, fuck you to Josh. Oh yeah, of course I did. Yeah. See, I asked for his help, and he gave me some bullshit excuse about his principles. But then when his neck is on the line, his principles don't matter anymore. So the guy's a fucking rat, number one. And number two, more to the point, see, he knew that I needed this. He knew that I needed this. And instead of trying to help me somehow, maybe he couldn't, or he wouldn't because it really would affect his business, which is understandable. But instead of like trying to explain this to me or trying to help me to come to a different solution to the problem, he just arrogantly flipped me off. Am I going to help Josh in the future? Of course not. I'm going to laugh when he gets arrested in Ukraine, because eventually he will. So you see the situation, yeah?
I was wondering why I let it go on so long, and now I remember.
You see, while you have to help each other out.
Okay. Allow me to explain. That's quite the indictment. There is some truth to it. He asked me, a lot of it is true. What is not true is the specifics. He comes to me, and as I said, I asked Josh to make it so my real name doesn't show up as the top result. He said, fuck you. This is the actual correspondence that we had. Josh, I need to ask a favor. It's a small one, but it's important to me. I said, depends, dude, and I'm out for food at the moment. He says, the favor is simple. Edit out my real name from the title of the Coach Red Pill thread on Kiwi Farms, especially from the URL. I don't care what people say about me. I'm not asking you to take down anything, but having the KF thread pop up when they Google my real name is causing me some problems in real life. I'd be very much in your debt for this. I said, there's no way I can do that, dude, and you know it. If I delete anything from the thread title, people will immediately notice, to the point where it'd be considerably less conspicuous to just delete it outright, which I also cannot do. This is the follow-up. I said, I have an offer for you. Call me when you're around. So the whole, I'm begging him desperately as soon as you need something. So we talk. And the gist of what I say is this, that in the Google Webmaster Suite, there is a way to temporarily, there's like a button for it that I just found, happenstance, that says like remove this page for like 30 days from search. And I thought, because I do need the visa, because I was in a bad spot, I couldn't renew it. I didn't have access to an attorney. I couldn't find one. And I said, okay, I'll take you down. If you're doing like a business deal or something, I'll just suspend it from results for 30 days. I won't edit anything. And then it'll come back after your deal is already sealed, and no harm, no foul. And his response to that was, sorry, I already just sucked all the ass in the entire world. And now, in retrospect, I think he was doing Wilshire Boulevard, and I told him no. The issue with this, and then, oh, by the way, after this, he immediately tried to, like, give me old man talk about how dumb I am. Basically that fucking video, but, like, in a personal one-on-one condescending form. He says, what will you do in return? And this, by the way, this weird fucking reply in response to this is like, he really thought he had me. I desperately needed this. There's no way I could just move, which I did. He's trying to get me to write this down so he can extort me with it. I say, I have absolutely nothing to give you, and I don't like this pay for play. I don't tend to break my own rules unless there's a clear emergency. And there was. I didn't know where I was going to be living, and I just found a place afterwards. The thing that this revealed to me about Coach is that he is a very bad businessman. What he did is, if you read the original tweets or messages or whatever, he says, I need this specific favor for you. Now, there's no context. There's no what he's doing. There's no what he's trying to accomplish. What he's trying to accomplish is to stop a business deal from going under as a result of people finding, his business partners finding this information out about him. So, number one, he didn't actually state what he needed from me correctly. Number two, he didn't offer it, and he didn't actually offer anything. I said, my contemporary response to this was, I'd be very inhospitable to this request regardless of who was making it, but Coach never explained why he wanted this. I assume because he was asking for Coach Red Pill to be removed from the title, he was afraid of his fans finding this thread and judging him based on what they saw. Some business deal with people in the Netherlands was never brought up in this context. A month later, I had given it some thought, and since he never mentioned what his motivation was, I had given this no urgency. I figured I could do this if he helped me with something. He had never offered to do anything for me in return, and this was a unilateral request with no backing power nor promise of a favor. Violate your site's principles for me without any compensation, and he makes fun of the principles. He said no because he had already kissed ass to get the deal without the thread being obfuscated in any way, and he no longer needed my help. When it became clear he just intended to lecture me on the phone, I hang up, and I literally did. He was like rambling at the fucking mouth, wouldn't let me talk, and I just hung up on him, and that pissed him off too. When it became clear he was trying to direct the subsequent conversation to blackmail me, I ended the conversation. By the end of that month, we were very temporarily de-indexed from the small search engine. Coach is a bad businessman. If he had said, I need this thread to not appear for the next 90 days because of a deal, what can I do for you? It opens a conversation in which there's more answers than yes or no, which hide my thread or else does not. I think the problem is sentence A shows vulnerability and Coach is too prideful to do that, even if it were the smart, honest, and effective thing to do. It is also worth mentioning that I have never once talked shit about him in any medium ever, and this is the third time he's gone out of his way to try and provoke a fight with me. As it stands, I have never removed a thread in exchange for any amount of money or any favor in 7 years. Now it's 10 plus. I think it's 11. Coach Red Pill is mad at me for not being the first. And that was him burning yet another fucking branch. At this point, there's a dynamic shift, because he still peters around in 2019, and the only meme going on with him in regards to his online presence is Wilshire Boulevard. It never gets fucking released. Apparently, the negative feedback from PPP and Ricada was too much to stomach, and he just gave up. So it never got published. The most prominent thing to come after this was me laughing at him because he broke his ankle.
See that? I broke my ankle again, but this time it was a lot worse. Over there, I don't know if you can see it, I'll try to zoom in, is the x-ray of my broken ankle. I mean, the thing really shattered on my second jump. The reason it shattered so badly was that I misjudged the distance to the land, and I
think it was skydiving in the Netherlands. People said they could hear Dutch in the background.
At speed. And, well...
Why is he in the children's ward? I'm not sure. Good question. And that is the last of Coach as we knew him. Now we're in the Coach of the future. And it starts off with a little bit of a preamble. Now this is early or mid 2021, before a certain event happens. And Coach is not well. Something is happening to him. He's not well. And he has a very harebrained idea that I think a lot of people have forgotten about at this point in time. I introduce you to Project Mayhem. Coach is in Paris, France, sabotaging the NAFO forces by inserting toothpicks in the keyholes of various locks throughout the city. This is Project Mayhem. He started up an entire Telegram channel which got 330 subscribers over its life. His idea was that young men across the world, he literally posted fucking manifestos. Should I read this? I'll read this, whatever. To any and all cells of 3, this is Mayhem. Next Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, you'll get your weekend homework assignment. Carry it out and don't get caught. Be ready. Tell others. Don't fuck up. There is no Tyler Durden. You are Tyler Durden. Tyler Durden was the leader, the Übermensch, the alpha, the man. When he led, others followed. Where he did, others repeated, copied, and improved upon and multiplied. Tyler Durden was a figment of the imagination of the narrator. The narrator was a wage slave, a simp, a loser, a nothing, a zero. He knew in detail the corruption of his employer, and he did nothing. He was just another cog in a corrupt machine. Tyler Durden was the man the narrator wanted to become. You are the narrator, so become your version of Tyler Durden. The will of men is the most powerful force when united and driven into a single straight line. That is why the enemies hate us, because they fear us, because they know we are stronger. That is why the enemies have united against us. The enemies are many. They are not a united block. They only seem so to us. The enemies are filled with resentment and envy. Their souls black with greed for money and unspoiled flesh. The enemies hate that there is a single driving emotion. They are filled with hate, most of all for themselves, but they claim hysterically and obsessively that everyone else is filled with hate as they are. This is a projection. This is a lie. The enemies hate themselves and hate each other more than they could ever hate us. As surely as the night follows day, that kind of self-hatred that fills the black souls of the enemies leads to suicide. That's why they've set aside their differences and turned on us. The enemies mean to fight us, enslave us, turn our women into whores and our children into catamites, burn down the monuments and achievements of our ancestors, pervert the art of goodness and beauty in the world, and ultimately enslave the weaker of us while killing the best of us. That is their goal. They say so all the time. That's why now is the time to turn the tide. Now is the time to fight. So find your 3, find your 2 men who believe as we do, that this cannot go on any longer, that this must be stopped. Find 2 men, not women, not children, not men who talk a big game but then turn away in fear, not men who have been brainwashed by the enemies. Find 2 men whom you know well, 2 men who you have trusted before and whose worth you know. Find them, bring them together, and accept their open heart to them. Tell them why you've decided to fight. Tell them that we are losing our very civilization, that all is beautiful and true and good and decent in the world. Tell them that you want to fight this evil. Tell them that you want to defend what you have built. Tell them that you want a better life for your children. Tell them that if you don't band together now and resist now, the enemies will kill you all, because that is their stated goal, a goal which they repeat over and over again in every commercial, in every movie and video game, in every speech their corrupt leaders give. With every breath they take, the enemies want to wipe us off the face of the earth. Fine, now you're 3. Fine, never more than 3, never less than 3, because 3 is the magic number. A man and the woman had a little baby. There were 3 in the family, and that's the magic number. Don't forget, the weekend homework assignment will be published on Friday. And the homework assignment was... Sorry, I'm not going to read all of this. I just want to show you the homework assignment. No, down there. There it is, the toothpicks. Consider the toothpick, he says. Encouraging the 3, the magic number, the 3, to go out and insert toothpicks in all the keyholes, because this will bring down the enemy, chat. This is real. And he would post these little things into this Telegram channel that literally nobody has ever found except me, and say shit like this.
I think it was in 1999 that the movie Fight Club came out, and it hit me like a train. And I could not understand why it was a financial flop, because it was. It was with Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, who was an up-and-coming actor, very well respected. And I thought it was going to be a huge monster hit. And I went to see it on the first day, and I loved it. I liked it enough that I saw it another time that week. And during the course of its theatrical run, I must have seen it at least 4 times. It had a huge impact on me the first half. The second half got stupid. And the second half just needed like a rethink conceptually. That's what I thought. And the movie, well, on an artistic level, I thought it was tremendous. And I couldn't understand why more people weren't going to see it, why more people weren't going to see it in droves. Every guy I knew loved the movie at the time that it came out. And every one of us bought the DVD as soon as it came out. But the movie was a flop. And of course, now I understand it. It was an incredibly expensive flop. They spent like a lot of fucking
Should I
money on
interrupt
that
it?
picture. And
He's
if you
basically
look
just
at
talking
it,
about Fight
you
Club.
can tell. You can tell how expensive all
the
shots.
worst part about this entire thing, by the way, is that he says that the movie was bad. He says that the ending sucked. That the second half of the movie sucked. But he's built like he copied everything, including from the second half with Project Mayhem and shit. So, as the storm is brewing in the streets, Coach Red Pill has lost his fucking mind, and the sector is now dead forever. A true black swan event, as Coach Red Pill predicted in 2010 or wherever, change finally came.
Уважаемые граждане России, дорогие друзья, сегодня вновь считаю необходимым вернуться к трагическим событиям, происходящим на Донбассе. И ключевым
I know some of
вопросом
you guys don't
обеспечения
speak Russian.
безопасности самой России.
It's Putin declaring war on Ukraine.
Начну
Kind
с
of.
того, о чем
Indirectly.
говорил в своем обращении от 21
In February 2022, the forces of the Russian Federation proceeded past the checkpoints in occupied eastern Ukraine and began an all-out assault on the country of Ukraine. And this inexorably altered the life of many people, including Coach Red Pill. Coach Red Pill had been living in a city called Kharkiv. Kharkiv is the second largest city in Ukraine, and it is in spitting distance of the Russian border, the internationally recognized Russian border. So the troops were right there at the gate, basically right off the bat. And in the first week of Ukraine in the war, it was fucking crazy. Like Russia extended deep into the territory. They came south of Belarus, hit directly into the capital city, Kyiv. They almost surrounded Kharkiv, and it looked like shit was going to wrap up real fucking fast, in not even a month, before any actual defense could be mustered. That's not what happened. And I don't want to get into the actual politics of the war because it's irrelevant, but it was not irrelevant to Coach Red Pill, who had picked a side. Now, you might think that based off the conversation I played earlier, Coach Pill would have very little opinion on the politics of Russia and Ukraine, or that perhaps he would have a sympathetic opinion to Ukraine, but that was not the case. He took a very ardent anti-Russia stance and published videos while living in Kharkiv in an active war zone about the war, unfavorable to Ukraine. And this was one of the first things he did. This is February 26th, so it hasn't even been 48 hours since the first mortars dropped, the first people killed. There are tentacles of caravans of tanks and military equipment barreling down the highway from Belarus to Kyiv, where he's currently at in this video. And he is in a conference room of a hotel surrounded by journalists. And when this video came out, I knew right then and there, I even said so in the thread, Coach Red Pill is going to die.
All the System Pig journalists are here. See? All these people, they're all System Pig journalists. They're all like, here to report on how they led Ukraine up the garden path, and now Ukraine is fucked. Yeah. The people pushing the narrative. These are the people pushing the narrative. So you can see them. See them real good. Yeah. And the best part is that they're all staying at a 5-star hotel. A comfy 5-star hotel. While they led Ukraine up the garden path.
So there's a part of this, I don't know if I can scan. You can see people are staring at him. He's in a very quiet room. This is not like a loud cafeteria. Everybody in this room can understand what he is saying, clear as day. There's that guy right there.
These are the people pushing the narrative. So you can see them.
I think this is it.
See them real good.
There's a guy that waves.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can find it again.
And the best part is that...
And it's like... He doesn't even, like, number one, he's basically saying that their country is going to not exist in the next couple hours, which those are fighting words. Right off the bat, he's lucky someone didn't just beat the fuck out of him. He's lucky that the manager didn't just kill him. Like, for real. Like, what a fucking shock. You wake up one day, your country's invaded. They're literally on the fucking highway to your city to capture the capital of your government. And you got this fat fuck American calling you a pig. Now, in case you don't know, the word pig actually means a lot. And I don't even think Coach Red Pill knows this, because even at this point in time, having lived in Kharkiv for going on 10 years at this point, he doesn't know the alphabet. He can't even read the Russian-Ukrainian alphabet. He could not read this picture right here, which says, Obnauzhen Ponad Uzior Ovoy Kaklo Shavine. This means warning. The Pona Ovoy thing. That means there's a Ukrainian chant, Ukraine under nothing or something. So they take the second half of that and they make it like an insult. The second part of that sentence, by the way, implies that the person they're talking about shits themselves, because I guess Russian has so many different suffixes for things that it's like there's a specific suffix for someone who's fecally incontinent. So it says, and kaklo is a make fun of the word ho-ho, which is like an insult. So it's like an extra insulting version of something that's already like a slur for Ukrainians. And then Schwein, the Russians don't like to admit this, folks. It's true. It's true. But the Russians have a secret love affair for the Germans, and Schwein means Schwein. So it says, warning, Ukrainian pigs, in like the most dirty, disgusting possible way you could ever conjure that sentence, with so much subtext and nuance and memes. And it's like the most Russian thing that you could ever see posted on the fucking internet directed at Ukrainian people. And the word pig is like a fucking thing. It's a known thing. Everyone in Ukraine knows what the Russians say about Ukrainians, and they call them pigs. And here is Coach fucking Red Pill in the capital city of Ukraine in the immediate aftermath of a full-scale Russian invasion with the fucking tanks on the fucking highway as artillery is landing around them. calling the people that live there pigs. And when this happened, when this dropped, I'm thinking, this is one dead motherfucker. He ain't getting out of this shit alive. And surprisingly, he lived a little bit longer than just that day. So this is his hot take. This is, I think at the end of February or early March is when this is filmed. And this is Coach's analysis. I think he had to escape Kyiv to go back to Kharkiv where his family was. And he took a train. And the trains were working intermittently. So he had to wait for the trains to come back before he could reach Kharkiv. And he did, and then he put out this video.
They are avoiding civilian populations and civilian infrastructure.
Discussing the Russian forces.
And when they go to a city or a destination, when they encounter any resistance from the Ukrainian army, any serious resistance, they stop and pull back. Because what are they doing? They are encircling. That's their whole strategy. And it's very simple. And if you look at a map, you'd realize it. What the Russians are doing is that whenever they go to a major city like Kiev, like Kharkov, and soon enough they're going to be in Dnipro.
Clarification. Kharkov is the Russian pronunciation for Kharkov. Kharkiv is the Ukrainian pronunciation. There's a couple weird things like that where it's Kiev versus Kyiv, Lviv versus Lvov, Odessa spelled with 2 S's versus 1 S. It's very, very autistic. Don't think too hard about it.
When they get to those cities, they go up to those cities and they meet some resistance and then they pull back. And they allow their forces to start to surround it. And that's the strategy they're employing in Kiev. That's the strategy that they're employing in Kharkov. They are encircling these cities. And once they've completely encircled them, what will they do? They'll wait. That's what they'll do. See, if you surround a city, all you have to do is just wait around. Eventually it'll fall, of course. And so the Russians are systematically surrounding all of the major cities. And whenever they come across a smaller town or village, they just advance and cover it and capture it and move on and continue with their advance. Whenever they meet any kind of serious resistance, they stop, pull back, and then encircle.
So, I think maybe also this clip I should play. Okay, I will not play this one. This is an aside. Coach Red Pill was 100,000% convinced that this war, the Ukrainian war that's going on to this fucking day, would be wrapped up in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months if things went bad. And I think a lot of people were also convinced of that because the Russians made amazing progress in the first couple weeks, and then they had to suddenly retreat, and the Ukrainians recovered thousands of kilometers of territory. What Coach expected in his head is that the Russian army would push from the east to the west and conquer everything up to the Dnieper River, which cuts Ukraine basically in half. Kyiv sits on the Dnieper River. Then the Russians would swoop down from Crimea and take everything from the Crimean Peninsula all the way to the border with Romania and cut off Ukraine from the Black Sea. This would unite the Pridnestrovia or Transnistria, they prefer Pridnestrovia, which is a breakaway state in Moldova, situated on the border between Moldova and Ukraine, which is very pro-Russian, and Russia would have saved their brothers and sisters in Pridnestrovia, basically. That was what he expected. He expected that this would take a little while. And I think that he wasn't completely alone in this, but what actually differentiated Coach Red Pill from anyone thinking that is that, number one, he lived in the affected areas, and he was literally staking his life on it. That, two, he also had the belief that he should publish his thoughts to the internet. I'm sure there are many peasants in these affected areas who just work in small villages in Ukraine who think, yeah, the Russians will probably wrap this shit up in a couple months when it started. And then they're like surprised, but their life hasn't really changed that much, and they didn't say it too loud, and they're not dead. Or they might be dead. I don't know. This is a war zone. Coach Red Pill blasted this shit to the internet to any fucking buddy that would listen. And the reason why he did that is because he is, if nothing, but a clout chaser. He believed that once the front line pushed back Kharkiv and they rendered Ukraine down to a rump state, he would be a fucking hero. He would be lauded by the Russian Federation and all of Russian social media. He would be doused in opportunities and all the things that he never got in the evil West. and he would be he would speak his truth. He would say how evil the West was and how evil Ukraine and corrupt Ukraine was, and he's so happy, and he knows that the people there are so happy that Russia came and liberated. And regardless of what your fucking opinion is, and I don't give a shit, that's what he thought. But that did not happen. Instead, he encountered some resistance, and this was the video that he claims actually fucked him over. This was published, so and it wasn't just one mistake. Let it be clear, this is almost a full fucking year after the invasion started, and they're pushed way the fuck back when this happens. He's giving a primer on the conflict. So between then and now, and it was very hard to find sources because this shit moves so fast. He had been visited by the FSB a couple times, I want to say. He had been visited and told not to leave Kharkiv. And he had been visited, I think, by Azov. He claimed, I think, that Azov actually visited them and intimidated him, and he said, no, I'm still going to keep blasting my fucking dipshit opinions on the internet. Well, good for him, I guess, but he kept talking, and then in January, next fucking year, he published this video. It is a 60-minute long coach video, and at this point, he had actually developed a completely different following. He was no longer just Coach Red Pill, the date guy. He was Gonzalo Lira, the Russian, the guy that knew about the situation in the war and had all these really hot takes that people gave more credit because he was living in Kharkiv at the time. So this primer is, and I listened to it, it's basically the Russian line word for word, that the modern Ukrainian government is a puppet government put into place by the United States of America as a result of a CIA color revolution that started in 2014. Zelensky is an illegitimate president, that the Azov battalion is a neo-Nazi faction, and therefore the Ukrainian government is complicit in neo-fascism, which of course is a very bad thing to him and to Russia because the Russians triumph over the Nazis. And so on and so forth. He basically said every single thing that the Ukrainian government really does not like it when people say. And at this point in time, they had laws on the books to punish people for doing it. Now, you can, again, have whatever opinions you want. But I'm telling you that it's probably not a good idea as a foreigner in a foreign country. It's a bad idea in general to talk politics as a foreigner in a foreign country. I have no opinions. When I was there, Putin who? Crimea what? Sorry, I'm just here to spend American dollars. I don't know, you can call that cowardice. It kept me alive. I didn't have any issues with ISIS in the Philippines. I didn't have any issues with Azov in Ukraine. It served, my tactic of Putin who is very, very good. So, at least by my experience. This video got me in trouble. I will spare you it because it's just politics. Who gives a fuck? And then he kind of regretted it. I think that this is the video. Yeah, it is. So this was no, I got this out of order. So this is from March. And he kind of flip-flopped. I think once the FSB was like knocking on his door, he kind of apologized for it because this is a Telegram message of him where he was discussing the prior things, this video. And he said, just woke up, and all I can think about is this fucking video where the Russian propagandist twisted what I said. It seems like the video has gone viral in Russia and Ukraine, and it makes me seem anti-Ukrainian, and I am in the middle of Ukraine. So after it was this video where he was saying that the Russians were going to mop up Ukraine real fucking fast and leave it a rump state, that got posted by a bunch of super significant Russian, I guess you could call them propagandists. They were just mouthpieces on Telegram. He got retweeted by that. The Ukrainians heard it. They learned that he was in Kharkiv, and they shared that around on VK or wherever the fuck. And that got him into trouble with the Ukrainians. He kind of had to walk that back. But then he realized that there was a lot of fucking money and audience to be made, and pandering to the weird conservative contingent that's explicitly pro-Russia because they're anti-NATO. And that's how we got to the Ukraine conflict a primer, which pissed off the Ukrainian government for real, no cap this time. But I mean, it's Coach Red Pill. No man can beat him. No woman can lay a hand on him. And because he's an American citizen, no Ukrainian can touch him. Well, Coach, I am no man, I am no woman, and I am no Ukrainian.
Russia hates the truth that their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is simply allowing the light of the Ukrainian nation's honesty to shine brightly. Next week, the teeth of the Russian devils will gnash ever harder, and their rabid mouths will foam in uncontrollable frenzy as the world will see a favorite Kremlin propagandist pay for their crimes. And this puppet of Putin is only the first. Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down, and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
So if you don't know who this wonderful young man is, you are looking at Sarah Ashton Cirillo. Last name Ashton is a little bit suspicious. I don't know if PPP would like to confirm or deny any relationship to him. But he is a tranny, and he somehow became the spokesperson for the official spokesperson to the West of the Ukrainian military as a volunteer. So this tranny shows up with his military tote bag in a war zone with, I assume, his Reddit stickers on it. And the Ukrainian military is like, what the fuck are we going to, should we just shoot him? What do we do? They said, no, I have an idea, comrade. We're going to make him a spokesperson to the United States because Americans really like trannies. And the other guy was like, Boris, are you sure that sounds fucking retarded? And Boris was like, yeah, trust me on this. I've seen some weird fucked up shit on VK. Just put the tranny in, and it will stay far away from the troops. Nobody will get molested in their sleep. And then he can show the West how progressive and woke we are. And they're like, okay, if you insist. Now, Ashton Cirillo had a particular hate boner for Coach Red Pill. I'm not actually sure why. Maybe it's because he's such a progressive feminist. I don't know. Maybe he got bullied. Okay, here's what happened. He tried to follow in Coach Red Pill's advice and it couldn't stop being an incel. So then he trooned out, and he's always had a hate boner for Coach. It's like a Stan thing where it's like, you get off. It's like this. After taking all of Coach's advice and not getting laid for consecutive years, Sarah Ashton Cirillo was like this.
I never get pussy. I never got any pussy. Too nice. I'm always so nice to the girls, and they just...
So he went to Ukraine, is what I'm trying to say. And he didn't like Coach Red Pill. So he got detained at multiple points. And towards the end of his life, he was arrested and released on conditional bond in violation of the Disinformation Act of Ukraine, and he actually posted his indictment on Zitter. So this is actually a 25 tweet chain. It is a dying man's words. I suppose I'll read it. I'll be nice. This is the last thing he actually posted that was substantive to Twitter. Right now, I'm about to try to get out of Ukraine and seek political asylum in Hungary. Either I'll cross the border and make it to safety, or I'll be disappeared by the Kyiv regime. This is what happened to me over the last 3 months. On May 1st, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Okay, so that year, 2023, I was arrested for my YouTube videos. The photos of my arrest are pretty funny. Morning bedhead made me look like a character out of Dr. Seuss. Do I have that? Oh man, if I don't have that picture... I don't have that. Oh no, hold up. I have to immediately find this. If I try searching the cum dumpster of Kyiv, I do not find one. Shockingly, I don't find what I'm looking for. I was doing so well up until this. Oh man, I'm never gonna find this now. It's so fucking over. I'll just explain what I'm trying. It's on the other browser. Yes, the funny picture. So when he got arrested by the Ukrainian equivalent of the FBI, they took a picture of him as he was entering custody, and it leaked. And this is the worst picture of Coach Red Pill that you could ever fucking take. Just look at that bald spot. He's got like crazy hair, like branching out into 3 different directions. It's just a fucking disaster. And I saw this picture and I laughed really hard at it. It said, "This elderly Jewish woman has been luring Russian soldiers for prostitution and killing them afterwards. She's already killed 45 Russian soldiers. For this, she's been dubbed the cum dumpster of Kyiv." That's what he's referencing. I continue. My crime was making videos critical of the West and giving the proxy regime in Kyiv, and how they are destroying Ukraine. Attached to these tweets is a full indictment against me, both the original Ukrainian and English translations. As you can see, even the prosecutor admits I committed no crime against property or any person, and I certainly provided no aid or intelligence to the Russians. My indictment explicitly states that all I did was discuss publicly known facts about the war, the epitome of free speech, and a democracy. But Zelensky's Ukraine is no democracy. It is a thieving, corrupt, murderous gangster regime pretending to be a polite Western democracy. Once arrested, I was given documentation assuring me that I was guaranteed the right to contact my lawyers and loved ones as well as post bail. In fact, I was blocked from calling anyone, even my lawyers, and I was not permitted to post bail, even though I had the cash to do so. In other words, the formalities were carried out scrupulously while judicial and ethical grotesqueries ruled. That's Zelensky's Ukraine. That's what his thuggish regime cares about, the perception of democracy and the rule of law, so as to mask the sordid, corrupt reality. That's why they relentlessly persecute anyone who tells the truth about this war. I'm not the only so-called propagandist the Kiev regime has thrown in prison, and it's also why they shoot at any AFU soldiers who dare to retreat. That's why the AFU losses are so horrific but hidden. As you can see by this indictment, the video that I made that really chapped their ass was Ukraine, a Primer, which gives the historical background to the conflict, where I state outright that this invasion wasn't out of the blue, that indeed it was provoked by the Kiev regime. Once inside the CISO prison, I was tortured in two of the 4 cells I was in by the other prisoners. Guards never beat prisoners, they outsourced torture to the other prisoners. One prisoner actually apologized to me, telling me he had no choice. He wasn't lying. I understood. I got a cracked rib in my first cell, but it wasn't too bad. The worst stretch was in the 4th cell. From 1 p.m. on June 21st until 7 p.m. the next day, 30 hours, I was beaten and sleep deprived. My arms twisted the wrong way around my shoulders and generally beaten pretty bad. I've taken a beating in my time, so sure it hurt like hell, but it was manageable. But then at one point, 2 thugs held my head and I used toothpick to scratch the whites of my left eye while asking me if I could still read if I had just one. That was unnerving. Near the end of the session, one of the thugs struck me in the chest so hard and so repetitively that the beating left a yellow and green splotch dead center on my sternum. He was berated by the cell boss because he had left a mark on me, which that was a no-no. Then, as luck would have it, 2 days later, when the bruising was in full bloom, a senior guard came to give me a wellness check. This was likely because of the Chilean embassy efforts. The U.S. embassy called me 3 times but gave me nothing but support, empty bromides. The guards told me to remove my shirt so they could look me over. The bruising was really spectacular, but he just nodded and pretended he didn't even see a thing. Why was I beaten to the point of torture? Well, it wasn't over my YouTube videos. I was imprisoned because of my videos, no doubt. The videos were why the SBU arrested me and put me in CISO prison without bail. But as they investigated me and examined my computers and accounts, all of which they confiscated and opened, the SBU realized that I am not poor. So once they had imprisoned me for my videos, the SBU took the opportunity to extort money from me, using the guards as accomplices, who in turn used the prisoners as muscle. How I discovered this is too complicated for a Twitter thread, but I'm writing a book about it. All told, they extorted $70,000 out of me and split it amongst themselves. They also took another $9,000 when they arrested me, my emergency cash, and another $11,000, which was my bail money. With the computers, iPhone, etc., I'm out about $100,000 on this adventure. I'm never going to see any of that back, not even the bail money, because I've decided to leave Ukraine before my trial. My trial is on Wednesday, August 2nd, and I've already been told I will be found guilty. My sentence will be 5 to 8 years in a prison labor camp. Yeah. But here's the thing, the conditions of my bail that I have to wear an electric monitor, surrender my passports, and not leave the city of Kharkov, much less the country. However, after posting bail, I didn't get an ankle monitor, and they returned my passports. Later at the SBU offices, they returned my other documents they confiscated, my driver's license and my motorcycle registration. In CISO, I'm told an inmate last year had been detained, released, but I'm not told to leave Ukraine again. He laughed. They were telling you to leave. This time, it looks like the same is happening. They're telling me not to leave, but to leave the door open. Or so I hope. And maybe I'm being set up by them so they can justify putting me away in a labor camp so no one will ever know about their sordid extortion scheme. I simply do not know, so I'm decided to die trying. I rode my motorcycle across Ukraine, 1,400 kilometers in 2 days. I'm going to Hungary to ask for political asylum. When I fail to show up for court in Kharkov, an arrest warrant will be issued, likely an international warrant. No doubt other EU countries will comply like sheep, returning me to serve 5 to 8 years in a prison labor camp. Regardless of the fact Kyiv arrested and imprisoned me for YouTube videos for free speech, what happened to European democratic values? The U.S. State Department would return me too. I'm not a black lesbian druggie or a transgender grifter. Besides, Victoria Nuland hates my guts, or so I'm told. I'm hoping the Hungarians will read my indictment and say this is bullshit, we're not sending him back. I'm posting this thread just as I'm getting to the border checkpoint. I'm also posting videos on 2 channels I have access to, The Round Table and Gonzalo Lira again. If you don't hear from me in the next 12 hours, well, I'm on my way to a labor camp. Wish me luck. And here's the video that he promised. And trust me, I do have commentary. You just gotta give me a second. Let's see, I have timestamps for this. 109, so 49.
So that you understand my situation. My case originally started as a free speech issue. But because of the SBU and the inherent corruption of the SBU and the criminal justice system in Ukraine, I will definitely be sent to a prison labor camp where I will most certainly die. And so I decided that the smart thing was take my chances in terms of getting across the border. Right now, I'm maybe 5 kilometers away from the border with Hungary. Over the last 2 days, I rode my bike just about 1,300 kilometers from Kharkov all the way here to the border. And my intention is to cross the border, get to Hungary, and in Hungary, I'm going to ask for political asylum.
So let me explain something real quick. Again, this thread and this video, this is the third of 3 videos. He streamed these live to YouTube while admitting to a crime and admitting that he was going to illegally cross the border. Not only did he admit that he was going to do this, he said that he was going to do it immediately. And then not only that, he said where he was going to do it. This is a map of Ukraine and includes the occupied regions. We're going to take a look at where it borders. So this is Russia over here. This is Belarus up here. This is Moldova. That little red spot is Pridnestrovia, which I mentioned before. That is Romania, big long border right there, and down there by Odessa. That is a long border with Poland, a little tiny border with Slovakia, and then even smaller than little Slovakia's border with Ukraine is Hungary. Between Hungary and Ukraine, there are 2 official border crossing points. I believe that he was near Chop when he was apprehended. So out of all the places that you could possibly go to leave Ukraine, one of the biggest countries in the entire world, if you look at the size of Ukraine's official boundaries and how it compares, it's larger than Germany. It's larger than France. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, if you count Pridnestrovia, which does have its own borders, 5, 6, 7 different crossings. He picked the smallest one with the fewest checkpoints into a EU-regulated country while announcing it ahead of time. So the people dedicated to watching Coach Red Pill and who saw his tweets and then also saw his videos called Chop and called the other one, Vilok, and said, hey, watch out for this dude who is extremely recognizable because he looks like a fucking crypt keeper. He's an American. He'll be an American Chilean trying to enter Hungary, and he looks awful. He looks like an aged Chilean man. The easiest profile in the entire you can't miss him. He stands out in a crowd of normal people on a good day. So, really, just like the most baffling, what the fuck is he thinking? I have a second timestamp at 8:46. Let me calculate that real quick. I did not do that right. 8:60. Okay, 8 minutes and 6 seconds.
They keep a close eye on that crossing. So you can't go through there. Another option that I was seriously considering was going to the front, going to the contact line, and thinking to myself, maybe there is some spot in the contact line that is being used by civilians, refugees, going back and forth. But that turned out to be a non-starter. I was surprised. I mean, the front is over 1,000 kilometers long, but there is no real spot where you can easily move, not without a guide, not without somebody who knows what they're doing. I also looked into the possibility of somebody helping me out, and a couple of them were grifters. It was clear as day, they wanted money. And the others, they had a lot of good intentions, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And so ultimately I was not able to find a Sherpa, a guide, who could get me through. Mm-hmm. So that's my situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to chance it at the border. Mm-hmm.
It didn't work. Now, one of the things that I really noticed about this, and this is my last observation regarding his escape attempt, is that he mentions that in this enormous Russian border, a lot of this is not like this up here. This is all fucking locked down. Like, this is all crazy town up here. You're not going to get in through the normal border. But you mean to tell me that you can't go from there to there and slip through? Like, where there's soldiers and shit? And it occurred to me while thinking about this, because I'm a problem solver myself, and I'm thinking, that could have been me. Fuck. Who knows what could have happened? What would I have done in this situation? Now, the border to Pridnestrovia was actually closed, but there's nothing stopping you from not coming in like a normal way, though they say that he says that he doesn't think so. But the Russian one is particularly intriguing to me, especially where there's no border because there's a fucking war going on. Now, obviously, there's a fucking war going on, so that's kind of a deterrent in and of itself. But it then occurred to me that Coach had no friends. Coach had no friends at all to contact. Because I feel like if Coach had learned Russian, perhaps, and had made a friend and had actual contact with like the Russian government, he could have said like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And then they say, no worry, comrade. We have a spot for you west of Borova. Come to this point on this GPS on your motorcycle at this time and look for the guys. Don't worry, don't look for them. Just sit there and they'll come to you after a moment. And then he'd be escorted in, and then he could give this big speech about how he escaped in this daring action thriller where he rendezvoused with Russian spies, and it was all action-packed. And as he left his apartment on his motorbike, he realized that the FSB had already gone into the building and were raiding his apartment, but he was on his way. Vroom, 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 vroom. So weaving in between the cars, and they couldn't catch him. Got to Borova, and then he went to the spot, and then he stayed there for 5 minutes. And it was pitch black, and then he just saw a cigarette on the horizon, and he realized those are my boys coming to get me. But he didn't have any friends, despite like his being a fucking simp for the Russian government. He never made contact. He never had like would his theory, if the Russian swoop in, conquer Ukraine thing had happened, would anyone in Russia had even noticed that he was right? Like, would he have actually gotten the fame and notoriety that he would have expected if he had managed to just shelter in place and let the Russians win? And I realized that's the saddest thing about the entire stream to me, is realizing that even in his darkest hour, where he was told, and I'll just assume that he is true, because weird things do happen. He's told that he's going to be found guilty, and they're going to put him in a labor camp, and he's going to die if he doesn't get the fuck out. And he couldn't tap anybody. He couldn't tap anybody in the Polish side, and the Hungarian side, the Slovenian side, the Pridnestrovian side, the Moldovan side, the Romanian side, and not the Belarusian side. And nothing over the thousands of kilometers of space that where Russia meets Ukraine. Nobody. Not a single person. where it would matter the most, could help him. And by the way, at this point, his wife had broken up with him. I haven't mentioned her much because she kept out of the limelight. But I distinctly remember the story that his wife had left and taken the kids at this point in the war. I think it was after he got arrested. And it made me kind of wonder if she didn't know who Coach really was. If she was just like, okay, this American man has money, he wants to hook me up with a family, I guess this is the best that I can do. He's kind of old, but whatever. And then she was just like a normal woman, and then she didn't know. She spoke Ukrainian. She didn't speak English that well. She didn't realize that was Coach Red Pill. And then after he got arrested and she heard from, VK or whatever, that, oh, he's like a huge fucking douchebag who's obsessed with anal sex and calls women dogs. Yeah. And is like a Putin simp. He's like, oh my God. And then she left. That's the only thing I can think of in regards to that. So the news came out, and by the way, Sarah looks a little bit different here because in between Coach being arrested and Coach fucking dying, Sarah had made a statement about wanting to murder an American senator or something about an American senator being a fascist who should be held to task or something. And then every single American head in unison snapped and looked at him like, what the fuck did you just say? And so he had to like apologize and like kowtow. And then the military like forcibly detransitioned him. So this is him in 2014 addressing the Coach Red Pill fiasco.
Hello, everyone. I've decided to go live due to all of the commentary that's taking place surrounding the passing of Gonzalo Lira. I will reiterate the statement I made earlier that I hope Gonzalo's family finds peace and solace in knowing that Gonzalo is no longer suffering in this human form and that he has gone on to eternal, hopefully eternal salvation. I believe eternal salvation thanks to the Lord.
So the coach dying was oddly like a little bit of an international fiasco for him, for Ukraine. Elon Musk tweeted that Zelensky was responsible for murdering a journalist. Tucker Carlson had a segment about Gonzalo dying in Ukraine and how it was a political assassination. Like, he got roundly retweeted like a fucking circus after he died. This from foreign UN intelligence officer Gonzalo Lira, murdered by Azov Battalion Kraken unit. Gonzo Lira, Gonzo is not his name, a Chilean social media influencer who resided in Kharkov, Ukraine, and who published online content critical of the Ukrainian government, was kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by the Kraken unit, part of the Azov Battalion affiliated with the Ukrainian security service. This isn't even true because the official story came out, and this is his hometown, by the way, Chile, talking about how he was killed, how he was a Chilean national. And apparently, in his last hours, the Chilean government was the one carrying the most water for him and trying to help him. And he didn't even reach out to his own government, I guess, for like a way out. That would be a story. The Chilean paratroopers jumping into Kharkov to like take him to the coast where there's because Chile has such a long coast. I'm sure they have a big, beautiful navy, and they've swept through all the mines in the sea to exfiltrate Coach Red Pill. That's the story. No, he turned his back on Chile because Chile is not cool. Hungary, though. Hungary likes Russia. Therefore, Hungary's the coolest place to be. This is Mario Knopfel, who is a 1.7 million subscriber, host of the largest show on X, unfiltered, unbiased, 24/7 news. U.S. reporter and Zelensky's critic remembered in Moscow. A memorial for American reporter Gonzalo Lira, who died in a Ukrainian prison on January 12th, has been set up near a U.S. embassy in Moscow. Lira, a critic of NATO, the Biden administration, Volodymyr Zelensky, repeatedly faced torture, extortion, and medical neglect. A memorial poster reads, "Free speech is a threat to American democracy." Lira, detained by Ukrainian security service in May 2023, had severe health issues, including pneumonia and edema, which were ignored by authorities, according to a letter to his sister. Sorry, that was out of order. Fuck me. There was a letter from Coach's father that I have misplaced. And I feel like a total dipshit. Sorry, it was just effectively, assuming I can't find this, the confirmation that Coach had actually died first came from his father. A handwritten note was delivered to him where he said that he had pneumonia and that the prisoner was not taking it seriously. He said he had edema, which is like an issue where your body retains too much water. You start looking like a waterlogged corpse. So he's an old man. He already had an existing health condition. And I assume that a Ukrainian prison in wartime is not very nice. So he took on health issues and died as a result. So he was never convicted of anything. He did die in prison, and that's why people say that it was an execution. To which we have a solemn song to remember him by.
Oh, rest ye tragic boomer man, your life cut much too short by angry men who hate your work and hunted you for sport. The system, pigs and journal scum who you did try to fight. Oh, our coach is dead and gone, dead and gone. Oh, our coach is dead and gone. Not even glue and toothpicks could keep Azov at bay. They chased CRP round Kharkiv, and much to his dismay, they caught him before one last show. Now we don't truly know if our coach is dead and gone, dead and gone. Oh, our coach is dead and gone. He may be strung up by the neck or hiding somewhere still. They may have just lopped off his head and rolled it down the hill. He could have left this all behind, but infamy pays the bills. Oh, our coach is dead and gone, dead and gone. Oh, our coach is dead and gone.
So, it is sad. He leaves behind his children. He had at least two. He made a joke once that he had 4 children with 5 different women. I think he forced one to have an abortion or something. He kind of was smart and kept kind of quiet about his family that he actually cared about. I have a different outro song in case you're wondering. That wasn't the outro. I have my final thoughts about this. Sorry, let me organize this real quick. Coach gave a lot of very bad advice throughout his entire life. He told people how to live so that they could get whatever they wanted. They just had to give him money for his Patreon content. And I think he believed his own lies. He actually believed, towards the end, especially once he built up the huge audience of people wanting to believe that Russia was going to wrap up the war in only a couple weeks, or that his imprisonment was something that NATO should be embarrassed of or whatever. He started to believe his own lies. He believed that he was really the cool guy that he wanted to be. He really thought that towards the end, he was Tyler Durden and not the fat, bald guy that bought a wife because he lost his college sweetheart that he actually loved and regretted for the rest of his life. When it came time to actually implement his own, and he wanted to play with people's money too. He wanted to be a financier and play games with people's money and capital and invest it in his big-brained ideas. And when it came time to gamble with his own assets, to take his own advice and actually put rubber to the road, he fucking died. Everything he said was wrong. To this fucking day, the war's still going on. Kharkiv itself is still not taken, and he didn't have any friends. He lectured me, curry favors. Well, you're sitting there and you're simping for Russia. Where's your fucking favors, buddy? Where's your help? Who are your guys in Russia that are going to help exfiltrate you from a foreign country that's at war? Like, all the things that he laid out, he didn't implement in his own life. He was wrong about literally everything, and it actually fucking killed him. And if he wasn't such a snake, maybe I would feel bad, but I'm not. I don't feel bad for him. He was an asshole. He was an asshole to literally everybody. And to women, he was their gay best friend. So, The sad tale of his children being fatherless and probably not getting any money from his death. Let me end it on this. Coach Red Pill is 4 things. Coach Red Pill is dead. Coach Red Pill is decomposed. Coach Red Pill is a scary skeleton. And Coach Red Pill is a spooky ghost. So, have a happy Halloween. Have a nice night. Thank you for watching. I will read the super chats after the outro music. And for the rest of you, I'll see you on Tuesday. Goodbye. Bam. I remember when I lived in Odessa. I would listen to music like this more. I would listen to a lot of Russian music so I could feel like I fit in more. I'm trying to remember. My favorite Russian band is that. I really like Человек и Koshka by Grupa Null. That's probably my favorite Russian song in total. But I'm a big fan of. Oh god, I can't remember. It was just some guy. He sang Bomba. Hold up. Bomba. Find it real quick. No, not by King of Africa. What's his name? Try Russian song. No, not. It's like it's like an L name or something. I don't know. I'm never gonna fucking know. I don't think they play Russian music on YouTube anymore. It's like banned or some shit. Oh, Leningrad. Yeah, that's it. Schnorr. Yeah. Leningrad. I like a lot of Leningrad songs. Меня зовут Schnorr is like one of the best Russian songs that I like to. Okay, next. Okay. This is the Super Chat segment, where I read the kind, supportive messages that I receive over the course of my stream. But usually I do it before the music. Also, when it's a person stream, then I don't. Banana Plagues. By the way, I heard that Joe Biden bit a child. Like, Joe Biden went completely feral and bit a child that was, dressed as a chicken. So I guess he thought it was like a chicken, and usually in his meetings when he sees a chicken, he bites the head off of it for Moloch or something. But he saw a child dressed as a chicken and just savagely bit it for some reason. So, yeah. Banana Plus for one says, Happy Non-Pizza Day, Josh. You're my favorite non-Slav always. Oh, thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed this very Slavic episode. Space Allen for 20 says, Happy Halloween, spooky ghost emoji, and ham jam. Thank you, Space Allen. Appreciate it. Not Lol from Kino Chat 2 for $50 says, early and straight, let's fucking go. That's right. I spent a lot of time preparing for this, so I am always early. Thank you. Banana Plagues for one says, woof woof. Women are dogs. Yeah. Doc's Found for 5 says, the weather was beautiful here for the last 2 weeks. Then on Halloween it decided to rain all day and all night, so thanks for the stream anyways, not making it as disappointing. I'm happy to help. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that your Halloween was all rained on. It sucks. Mr. Manchester for 5 says, Happy Halloween. Thank you. I'm having a very nice Halloween. Of course, with you guys. Sneedo for one says, Boss Man haters are rats. Yeah. Dude, truer words have never been spoken. Goyidate for 10 says, I should have prepared 30 camera angles for an authentic CRP intro. Do you have no idea how tempting it is to just not buy like a fancy camera and then end streams like this by just like actually cutting on a camera and being like, Coach Red Pill is full thing, like right into the camera? That would be really funny. Maybe one day I'll just lose my shit. I'll get fucked up on cocaine or something and I'll do that and shock everybody. You only get to do it once though, so you gotta be really choosy with it. Thank you. Ben Collins for $50 says, this stream brought to you by Serb Kebab Shop VPN. Bro, I bought a fucking 10-meter long Cat 6, and I legit did it. I had that shit wired up today. Thank you for reimbursing me my very expensive Cat 6, okay? Thank you. Not Lol from Kino Chat 2 for 20 says, and yes, happy Halloween. Thank you. Appreciate it. I am having a great Halloween, as I said. Sneedo for 5 says, Happy Halloween, everyone. Damn, that ghost pussy nice. And then there is a WebP file. I'm not very tempted to open it, but I guess I am being paid to. Let's see. It is Boss Man running from a ghost woman. Very interesting. I assume this is like an AI generated image or something. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. Ballistic Characteristic for 20 says, Happy Halloween. Thank you. I appreciate it. Red Eyes Black Dragon for 2 says, I seriously can't believe Coach Red Pill died to Azov Battalion while he defended Kharkiv by himself in his Russian IS-2 heavy tank 07. The legends are true. Coach Red Pill single-handedly kept the evil Volodymyr Zelensky from seizing Kharkov. Yeah, I guess he just didn't realize that real life and Sargon of Akkad are two different people. Baldo Pegans for 5 says, I can't believe Nick Rekieta paid $1,000 to have half a Jamaican love child aborted. Can we get some candles in chat for little Niquarius Rekieta? A little bit of an off-topic comment, but yeah, okay. Lights up for Niquarius. I feel bad for him. Well, yeah, Alfred says, hope you're having a nice day, Joshua. My name, but always. Thank you. I am having a very nice day. JP Triggerpull for 10 says, 10 for the person stream. These streams are my favorite internet content. I'm glad. I'm glad people still like these. I'm glad people tell me that, like, people say they still watch the old ones and they hold up. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. I appreciate things like that. Try my best. Like I said, it's kind of like a one-take film, kind of. Good luck 7 for 5 says, why don't you do calls like you did a long time ago? The opportunity doesn't really present itself much. Simply that, really. Because back in the day, I used to do very freeform content. Now I just kind of I talk about things that happen. Back in the day, I would try to kill time. Because I was just trying to fill enough time and be entertaining to get high score tables and shit. So I would do calls and whatever. I fucked around a lot. Holy Alpha Prices, you talked about Corlin last stream. Interesting thing about the movies that there's a bunch of evidence that suggests she never escaped the other world. Kind of creepy to think about. I don't know. I watched it. It didn't feel like there was weird subtext about her not escaping. It's a kid's movie. Of course she escaped. Don't be stupid. There's a second movie, right? I'm sure she's fine. Breadwash for 5 says, Jim's Halloween stream started an hour later, so I'll be dipping out early. Thank you for the spoopy stream. I'm sure to catch the rest of it on the archive channel later. Yeah, I'll get the VODs up super fast. Tetrabacks for 20 says, buying teenage for I cannot, bro, I've told you this before. I cannot give True and Honest on the forum for donations on the stream. I cannot, ever, for any reason. Kurt Eichenwald, Anime Masturbator for 5 says, Glorious Kiwi Emperor, I almost forgot the stream was a day early. I think the reason you like Halloween so much is that you were a boogeyman to trainees and the mentally ill. HH, happy Halloween. I liked Halloween in the early days of the forum too. Back before it became this big thing. I feel like Halloween is so much bigger these days, and I personally take credit for it. I kept the spirit alive, okay? It was me and my website and the October joy I spread that then spread to other people like a domino effect. It's more that it's just cool. It's just cool that people get together and they enjoy spooky stuff. And the fall is the best time of the year. It's when summer finally fucking dies and you don't have to wear super light clothing all the time and you can enjoy chill weather, the leaves turn. It's very pretty. I like winter a lot, but winter kind of can overstay its welcome. Fall never lasts long enough to really overstay its welcome. It's usually pretty short. It's just a good time. Pirate Mike 420 for 20 says, Happy Halloween, love the sweater designs. Here's my favorite Terry quip, open it or don't I care. See you next week. And then there's a YouTube link. Okay, I'll try. It's probably too long.
Beautiful, Gus. It's my house. Eddie Murphy. Raw. It's my house. Who are you?
Huh?
Who are you?
What happened?
I live up the street.
Yeah.
Do you live in Florida?
I'm nobody.
Okay. What are you doing?
I'm trying to replace some parts.
Why is he
You got some
harassing
parts
this
you're trying
Filipino?
to do what to them?
Do that again?
You have some parts?
I replaced it.
You're replacing some parts. This man is replacing some parts in his car.
Is that a video?
It's a video, yeah. I'm gonna put it on the internet.
I don't like my face on the internet.
Asians don't like their picture on the internet. That is kind of crazy. I would be super freaked out if some random guy started filming me on the street like that. And I was like, hey, what you doing? You changing parts? That freaked me out. No, Mr. Metal 5 says, you and Mr. Medical are assholes. 2 live streams for my favorite podcasters while hiking. Happy Halloween to you two both. Thanks for playing Dustborn, by the way. I somehow know Lebanon, USA is a thing. Oh, there's multiple Lebanons in the USA, dude. We name everything in the USA after someplace else. There's almost nothing in the US that's named after, like, an original thing. And all the original names are just Indian names. Like Chattahoochee, Okaloosa, Escambia. Those are all, like, Indian. Chesapeake. Those are all Indian things. The rest we just steal. You got Lebanon, Jerusalem, London. We have there's a Versailles in the U.S. and they just call them Versailles or something. It's we got Berlin and Frankfurts and Frankforts. We got all sorts of weird shit in the U.S. They're just stolen fucking names. I don't know if we have a Den Haag anywhere. We have a Hell, Michigan too. Just steal those names, man. Let me send. Oh, we have an Odessa in Texas too. Very fun. Let me send your face, Josh. For one says, rate my dog's costume. No tricks, just treats. I am extremely suspect of this link. It's a dog and it's in a lizard costume. It needs some way to like clip to its head though, because it doesn't look like it's hanging on too well. He needs like a band for it. I don't know about rating. Dogs are nice. I left 13 out of 10. Devious to V for one says, I'm shooting pearls. Are you a capitalist, Devious to V? I hope you're not shooting pearls. That's lewd. Humble Guardsman for 5 says, next merch run, please remember to order enough XXS stock, as a roast Sneed or hamburger deserves to cover his supple New England twink body with the finest Kiwi merch. Thank you in advance. I think if a small is fine enough for New England twinks. Buzz Burridge for 2 says, the next stream you, Jim, and Coach did was my introduction to yourself. If Jim dies, you should recreate that stream with 2 plastic skeletons. I should. Would that be in bad taste? If Jim dies and my first instinct is to like cut on an overhead camera and it's just my 2 hands and they're holding up like clay figurines of Jim and Coach going like, Jim, women are dogs. Yeah. And then I'm making Jim go like, well, my woman eats dogs. And then they both laugh. Would that be in poor taste? I hope not. Omega Rap for 20 says, Ooga Booga. Thank you. Appreciate it. Tetrabags for 20 says, if you ever took dating advice from CRP, then you are a legit retard and should not reproduce, which is probably not going to be very difficult. I mean, I think Sam Hyde's doing just fine, okay? Omega Rap for 20 says, Ooga Booga. All right, I already read these. They came in twice. Thank you, though. Anyways. Octavia Sales Rep for 5 says, I think North Americans underappreciate how socially open we can be to total strangers. Very few other countries like that. Dude, Americans are fucking nuts. That's why Europeans think we're weird and insane. American friendly shit, especially in the South. Like, you take someone out of, like, a foreign country that's, like, really cold, like the UK or Germany or Denmark or whatever the fuck, or France, God fucking forbid, and you put them in, like, a country kitchen and, like, in Georgia, and they're like, hey hon, how you doing? Oh my gosh, your sweater looks so nice. Did you buy that in Paris? And they're just going on. You want some sweet tea, hon? That Parisian woman is gonna be like, oh my god, I am in hell. Why are these people talking to me? Do I know you? Even my mom, when my mom moved from up north to the south, and she like entered a gas station on her drive down, and she's like stopped somewhere in like rural Georgia, and the woman at the counter just started talking to her. She was like, do I know you? Who the fuck are you? Why are you talking to me? It's like crazy. People, you really underestimate how generous the American social contract is. Okay, most other countries don't have this. Cool. Let me refresh. I think one of these chats is. Okay, next. Cool, Dante for 10 says, would you be willing to trade Ricada for the body cam footage for Wilshire? But fuck no, I would not. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm not gonna read. Nobody, dude. Everybody can watch Ricada getting his balls busted and laugh. You have to be like a special kind of literary critic to enjoy Wilshire Boulevard. Thank you though. 11th Circuit for 2 says, nice spooky stream. Thank you. I'm glad it was spooky. Can't be blank for 2 says, at can't be blank teen go pick a son in my cool low. I don't know what you tricked me into reading even. That's weird. JP Trigger Pull for 5 says, here's my thanks for giving me nostalgia for this internet garbage. You're very welcome. I got it too, though. Not Lowell from Kino Chat 2 for 10 says, right. Right. I'm sorry I had to get that out of my system. Right. Yeah. Slay King. Thank you. Schwarzwald Null for 5 says, depending on Tuesday's election, we may have to place Mr. Nubley in 24/7 wellness watch for a bit. Would you be willing to take one of the shifts to watch over him and make sure he doesn't off himself? No, I think that my decision is with the Mr. Nubley stuff. After the election, that'll be the end of it, because I think it'll overstay its welcome if I just read everything that he puts out, unless it's like particularly funny. Tetrabacks for $200 says, I heard from a certain someone that you are broke as shit. Have a spooky Halloween. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that Coach Red Pill is earning me the cheddar, the dollar bills. But imagine how much more I could have made if only I had curried favors with the right people. Thank you. Sneedo for 1 says, Josh is a ratatouille rat. Yeah, I named that one Josh is a rat. That was the file name for that. Saxon Bear for $10 says, I'm so angry right now listening to CRP repeat his KF story over and over and over. He probably got killed because he was asked for directions to the corner store and it took him 3 hours to deliver the answer. Yeah, he's an old man. Dude, you should... I kind of regret not recording the call with him, because he's like that... Like, he was trying to be real fucking explanative and shit to me, and I'm like, bro, you're not my fucking dad. Nice try. I'm not one of your fucking sims. Thank you. Tiba Deluxe for 2 says, sorry, Josh, you guessed 124 in trick-or-treaters, and we're at 136 and still going. No $100. Ghost of CRP cursed you to stay broke. Best Halloween turnout in years, though, thanks to the stream. Well, I'm happy to help. I'm glad that you had so many kids come out. I should have guessed higher. I knew it was going to be high. I did guess high because I figured with COVID shit ending and Halloween, like I said, Halloween feels like it's way bigger now than ever before, and it's become an international holiday. That's great. That's great. It's great, folks. We got the best Halloween. I can't read that because it's green on green. Mizo Salve Pinks for 5 says, my mom regularly sent me CRP videos around this era. She would listen to daily 3-hour QAnon podcast if you want a sense of his audience. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. he's trying to coral the boomers. He realized that the real women are the boomers. He's like Boss Man Jack. He's trying to get your mom. Duty for 1 says, I always hated CRP, sued since day 1, tried to reach each situation like it was chess, but came out looking very gay. Give an average IQ person success and you get CRP, now he's burning in ink in hell. Because he's Chilean? Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's how it works, because I don't think he was religious, but he died and he's Chilean, so I guess it defaults to Inca? Like, is that the afterlife he gets just because of where he's from? Yeah, I agree, though. Octavia Sales Rep for 5 says, Josh, I'm just here to throw fistfuls of dollar coins at women while drunk on Jaeger. Bro. Now, those are the fond memories you can look back on with no regrets. Sneedo for 2 says, if you don't want to vote, just vote for Boss Man instead. And then there is a link to a thread, and I'm going to assume that this is a guy's ballot that says Boss Man Jack out here. You rats out here not lifting a single solitary fucking finger. Meanwhile, some people are actually fighting for our boy. Write in for President Austin Peterson. Write in for Vice President Derek Christmas, the crack dealer. If you haven't voted to make crack and gamba great again, I don't want to read any of your posts. I want to feature this. Time to shit up that thread. It's not going to get any more fucking content for like 5 more fucking years. So I might as well. By the way, I don't support write-in votes as a joke because it shows as a vote. It's counted still. I think that the total American democratic participation should drop under like 10%. Because you can't say, well, that's what people voted for when like voter turnout was like fucking 3 people in each county. Fuck them. Coyadante for 25 says, what kind of shitty Latino can't even figure out how to hop a border? That's a good one. Apparently, Coach, he picked the worst border too. He like went up to the fucking mountains. I think you can bicycle across parts of Poland without issue, and he decided to go to the Hungarian one, which are like all in the mountains and shit. Oh, thank you. Didn't step up for one says you should have done a multi-stream with Medicare so I don't have to tap my inner ADHD. Shake my head. Oh, I wasn't offered. MH Dark Law for 2 says, after everything is said and done, CRP was truly retarded. Rip to Abuela of Kharkiv. Have a good weekend, Josh. I'm off to watch Mr. Medicare. Oh, you too. Have a great weekend. Asian Tech Support for 10 says, pour one out for this fucking retard. I don't think I will. I'll just drink my liquor. Thank you. Ape for 5 says, cautionary tale, great for clout leading to ruin. Great epilogue for Coach Brown Eye Dominatrix Dead Pill. Felted his own storyline chasing glory. Yeah, I think I got it figured out. I think I figured it out. He went to LA to be a retard. He lost the only woman he ever loved. Tried to fill it in by being like a guru. Went to Ukraine to look like a hotshot and save money. And then died huffing his own fucking farts. I think I figured it out. Ben Collins for 5 says, oh dear, you are dead. Dun, 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 dun. It's true. Sorry, I don't know how else to cap that off. Farmer Fletcher for 1 says, happy pizza day, Eve. Thank you. I appreciate it. Doodlebot for 10 says, you rock. Thank you. Oh my god, such love. I appreciate it. Strefleria for 5 says, 07. Thank you. Ape for 5 says, suffer corpse dead pill. Suffer. He did suffer apparently. I kind of, the shit he said about like being tortured is kind of like skin crawling. It kind of feels like it's real too. It's hard to tell. I mean, he does like sell stories as like a job. I don't know. The whole scratching the whites thing is so fucking weird. Rat Lord one, but then again, if he was getting tortured like that, I can't believe. I mean, he did. After that, he fucked off. Rat Lord 111 for 5 says there are gals, and there are. It's very spooky. There's one right there behind you. Dino for 1 says, just got done trick-or-treating with my nephews and was listening to the stream via earphones. I did not know that Gonzalo was successful in his early life. Have a good night and Halloween, Josh. I did not know a lot of stuff until I looked into it. Coach was a very minor character in the Kiwi Farms up until he was arrested by the FSB, or not the FSB, the other one, SBU. His thread had like 30 pages in total, and it was mostly Brian Dunn like sucking his own dick and being a complete fucking retard. The OP for his thread is awful because Brian wrote it. But if you look into other sources and stuff, it is pretty interesting. It's hard. It's so hard to find stuff for him because it's either this shitty Kiwi Farms thread or it's like the general public. And you search for anything Coach Red Pill, you find nothing except the bona fide good sources. Like this says Putin propagandist found dead in Ukrainian cell from pneumonia. And it's like, I can't, you know how fucking hard, I had to ask people to help me find shit, even though I was trying to keep it a secret, because just finding anything related to Coach Red Pill was just like a fucking nightmare. Anime Extremist for 2 says, the part where Wilshire Boulevard having a scene where he masturbates a woman with a gun and goes into a furry convention to stop a mass shooting had me rolling with laughter. Happy Halloween, Josh. Well, that's what PPP said it was. I don't know. He could have told me anything, and I would have believed him. So you gotta take that with a grain of salt. After all, PPP is one of the original cult of red pill people. The president of Nintendo for 5 says, happy Halloween. Any other spooky movies on your Halloween watch list this year? I watched Hocus Pocus again. And I love Hocus Pocus. It's like a kid's movie, but it's really funny. Let's see. I don't know. I'll think about what I want to watch tonight. You know what it is? Every Halloween, I watch A Nightmare Before Christmas. I think I've done that every year for like the last 5+ years now. It's just a classic. Yeah, probably Nightmare Before Christmas. Sneedo for 1 says, there's a Belgrade in Montana, by the way. Yeah, I'm sure there fucking is. Select a username for 20 says, vote for Trump, everyone. Protect our democracy and our freedoms. No, vote for Austin. Don't be a fool. Don't throw your vote away. Vote for the right choice. Thank you. Select a username for 10 says, for real though, Trump is the right choice for Kiwis, and Vance and Vivek genuinely care about internet freedoms, banking, access, and similar. I mean, vote if you want to, brother. Fuck. I don't have any hope. I have zero hope that anything will ever change. Thank you, though. And Mr. Sister Fister, the 365 for 5 says, long time watcher of your show, TAD, total aphid death. Dude, fuck aphids, for real. I can't wait to, like, if I see aphids again, I'm going to import the most hungry, vicious lady beetles that have ever lived. I'm going to watch them get torn apart, torn asunder, just ripped limb from limb. Okay. That's the stream. There's no outro music. So we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Yeah!